You did hang out with Andrew Tate?
He basically DM'd me and said, hey bro, like I'm in Prague, like do you fancy meeting up?
Starting a business is now easier than it's ever been ever before, but it's still fucking tough.
So for the next 12 months, we want to get this to a point where we're a 7-figure business. So we're nearly there. Why would you need a laptop? He goes, if you're a good CEO, you can run your business from your phone. When I know that I'm stressed is when I begin to make irrational decisions.
The following is a conversation with Oliver Anwar. He's a huge fitness influencer with over 125,000 Twitter followers. And he's not just someone that looks good and is really shredded, but he actually has a crazy awesome growth mindset, and he's incredibly smart, and he's going to share some really, really awesome value bombs here with you. The reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I want to get the best coaches, thought leaders, and thinkers of the online industry onto the podcast so you can learn more about business, you can get inspired about the digital consulting and digital coaching and service providing industry, and maybe you can also build your own business. So without any further ado, here's Oliver Anwar for you. All right, Mr. Oliver Anwar, how are you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me on today. I'm really excited for this.
Hell yeah, dude. So you know what's funny? So I'm not sure if you know that, but like I found you on Twitter and I'm like, this guy's funny and informative. And then I'm like, cool. And then I found you on Instagram and you were following me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, what? So how? And then I'm like, how do we know each other? What's the deal there? Do you know?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. So back when I was 21, I went for a really bad heartbreak, right? I got my heart broken. I was really sad. And I remember I was getting a mega bus, which is like a cheap bus, on the way to London to go to university. And I downloaded a YouTube video. And that YouTube video that I downloaded was an RSD free tour with Owen and yourself. And I came across you and your content, right? Like this is back when I was 21, which is crazy. So then it's funny how it becomes full circle now. Now we're doing a podcast together. So yeah, that's kind of how I came across you, man.
That's so insane. You know what's the most mind-boggling thing about that? Like I remember specifically Owen, and that was again like that's like 10 years ago almost now, right?
Yeah.
Like, almost 10 years. And he kept rambling about like, yeah, all the guys that are following us now for the dating advice, like in 10 years from now, these guys are going to have $1 million businesses. They're going to be traveling the world. They're going to be CEOs. And I'm just like, yeah, crazy Owen, like keep talking, old man. 10 years from now, who knows? And now everyone I meet, they're like, yo, I used to watch RSD. Like all the entrepreneurs, all the 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure people, they're all like, oh yeah, I remember I used to watch RSD. And I'm like, damn it, Owen, you were right.
It makes sense, man. It makes sense. Yeah.
What do you think's the reason for that? Like why do you think is this like dating advice stuff like an entry-level drug for personal development?
I think it's a really good question. I think the main thing is when you're like young, and especially as a young guy, right, you're getting ripped apart by life because you've not got much money, you're getting your heart broken by chicks, you try to navigate this new world and you're kind of like, it's not really working for me. Like, damn, this is painful. What's going on? And so you do some research online and you get hit with a video where someone explains to you in a very articulate way exactly what is happening to you and why it's happening and also a route to get out of it. And I think that was why a lot of people bought into RSD back in the day. It was because it was speaking to a certain subsector of men that really, really were in a lot of pain, if that makes sense.
I mean, it was the same for me. I just had the honor of being part of it for a bunch of years and really crushing it with that. But I really resonate with the thing that you said is like, oh, and then I went on a mega bus, which I also went on a couple times when I was broke. And for me, it was the same. I'm like, my life sucks and I'm unhappy. And, like, I guess for me as a young 20-year-old, I'm like, if I have a girlfriend, though, everything would be better. I didn't understand that, like, maybe it's about, self-fulfillment and just really growing and saying yes to all the pain so you can make it grow and all that stuff. It was just like, if I had a girlfriend, my whole life would be better. And then just like you, I found RSD because I read the book, The Game.
Yep.
And then they, the game was all shitting on Tyler and everybody. So I kind of was aware of RSD, and then I was looking for communities of like-minded young guys that were going out working on their social skills. And then I found the RSD inner circle back then was like Facebook groups. And then I'm like, oh, those are the guys from The Game. I remember. And then I'm like, oh, this content is actually pretty good. And if you read my diary from back then, there's literally entries like, I believe in the words of Tyler more and more. I realized that he's so right. And like it completely rewired my brain. And then, And then for like a young dude like me, it was like, if it's possible for some young dorky chode Max to talk to girls that are way out of his league and even go on dates with them, like what else is possible? And this whole idea of like, well, if I just put in the work, everything is possible, it just kept being spun further, and now, you know, I run all these businesses and I made all this money, because I still think like, well, if I can make a nice girl be interested in me, yeah, I guess everything's possible.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of success in any kind of field, you can talk, you know, health, wealth, relationships, there's always an entry point that someone comes into. And I always find that fitness is a big one for a lot of people, right? You know, people are out of shape, or they're very skinny. They go into the gym and they start developing the right skill sets, self-discipline and things like that. That then crosses over to other sides of their life. So, you know, they're healthy, they're strong, you know, they're making some gains in the gym, they're looking good. It increases your vibration. So then what happens is you then go out and you go dating, and you're kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to go talk to this chick. And you're like, you know what, maybe I don't like my job that much. I'm going to start launching a business and, you know, earning some income on the side. And then you start leveling up all these other parts of your life. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, dude, 100%. But let's talk about you a little bit more. So 125,000 followers on Twitter. You're doing well on Instagram as well. Your girlfriend broke up with you, or you guys broke up with each other. You're on that bus. You learn about RSD. What dots are missing here from where you were back then to where you are right now? Tell us your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got off the megabus, cried my eyes out. I'm joking, but yeah, we after this, I went to my university, and when I was there, I was in great shape. I was training a lot while I was there, and one of my friends said, "Hey man, why don't you like start a website?" Because he ran his own like esports business, which was crazy. And he was like, "Man, why don't you just talk about fitness? Why don't you talk about, you know, all the stuff that you know?" Because a lot of the people that were around me in university were having a lot of questions like, "Hey bro, look, how are you in such good shape? I'm going on holiday, I want to learn this." So I decided like one summer to buy a domain that costs like 99p, go on YouTube, search how to build a WordPress website, learn how to write a blog. And then I also created like a fitness package with a PayPal link, right? Which was $100 at the time, which is crazy. That was the first fitness package that I created. So I launched and I got everyone on Facebook to share this one day. It got like hundreds of shares. And on the first day, somebody paid me some money on PayPal to coach them. It was like £75, $100 for a 12-week, you know, personalized program and coaching. And I was so happy. I was actually back home with my mum when the sale came through, and I ran upstairs and I said to my mum, look, I've made like this money. This is amazing. And I felt like a huge imposter at the time, because, you know, I was just this random guy that created this website, but also it inspired me because I felt like it was a proof of concept that, hey, look, like what else is possible if I can do this on the first day? So from that point on, I basically just built this online, you know, website. I was doing it around university, but once I finished university, I wasn't making enough money to actually, you know, take this full time. So I'd got a good degree. So I got a job in central London as a, you know, account exec for a big company. And I started running this alongside my, you know, corporate job. And during this time, it was a very stressful period of my life, because I was waking up at like 6 a.m, commuting to work, doing like a 10-hour day, commuting back, coming home, training, then working on my business for like 4 or 5 hours, getting to bed at like 1, waking up and then repeating this again. And during this time, I was actually super miserable. I was like drinking alcohol. I was shut off from a lot of my intimate relationships. I was in this room in London, which was, you know, over half of my my monthly, you know, wage, just miserable, man. So I said, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore. I decided to quit, and with 1 month's notice, I quit my job and decided to run my business full time. I was like, I'm going to get some freelance stuff on the side and do this. And this was about in 2019 when this happened. So I went all in. Then what happened was, after a few months, I found out that my freelance work wasn't really getting me enough money. And also I was not making enough money through my business, and I couldn't pay my rent this 1 month, which was a bit crazy. So I actually got to this point where I was absolutely broke. But luckily the guy I was living with had a vending machine company, and he said, bro, like if you want, I can give you a job, like putting chocolate bars and coffee into vending machines. And like, you can wake up at 4 a.m, drive this van around the south of London. You can finish at 4 p.m, work on your business and carry that on. So that's what I did. I was driving around London in this van, going to all the bus stations, all the universities, all these warehouses, filling chocolate bars, and then teaching people how to, you know, essentially do fitness afterwards. Damn. Then COVID 2020 happened. I started jumping on Twitter, and that's when my business started to kind of explode, because online coaching became huge after people realized that you don't need people in gyms to train you. So that's what happened. And then there's been a bit of an ascension over the past 4 years, just really scaling my Twitter account to where it is today. So yeah, that's a bit of background to how we got to where we are today.
Sheesh. A lot of stuff to unpack there, dude. And now you just moved to Dubai, right?
Yeah, and I just moved to Dubai, so my residency actually came through yesterday. So yeah, I'm a resident now. Thank you. Yeah.
And right away, you move there. It starts raining like in the UK. Did you guys?
Yeah, I
have
felt
these,
like I was back in
crazy-
Luton.
Yeah. You guys got this like crazy flooding or something going on right now?
Yeah, like it was crazy. It was like hectic for like about 2 days. Like hotel staff couldn't get in. People were flying in and not being able to check into hotels.
Damn.
Like people were losing their cars. The reception of my building got absolutely flooded. So yeah, it was a wild experience. Really wild.
Sheesh. Bunch of Lambos just being flooded away with
Yeah.
rivers, you know?
Yeah, I call them lamb boats right now. You know.
Man. I mean, it's so funny that you built this next to your job, you were miserable, and then your buddy gives you this like random snack job. I don't know about you, but I could not touch chocolate bars all day without eating them. I couldn't. So for me, this would literally be torture. just putting this out there, like if I like just the sounding of the wrapper, I'd be like, I just want just 2, and then I would just eat 10 Snickers.
Yeah, I mean, a few days that would happen, especially when I forgot to bring my lunch. I'd go into the back of the van and it'd be crisps and chocolate bars for lunch. So yeah.
Yeah, man, dude, that's exactly how it is, man. I just love food. There's no like, you gotta hold me back. Like, I gotta hold myself back from just eating a banana bread, like a full banana bread. Just the other day, I bought a banana bread. I just ate the whole thing, like a loaf of banana bread. A loaf, not like a piece, but like I just eat it. And then I still have all my regular meals. For me, I don't even care. My body just devours it. Anyways, man. So you said you built your business mostly from your Twitter account, so that's like your main source of getting clients?
Yeah, like 90% of my clients all come through Twitter. Yeah.
Damn, that's so interesting, because I just randomly started Twitter because I remember like my SEO guy, he's like, hey, if you want to, we can let your Twitter rank. You just got to post a little bit. And I'm like, well, like, fine, I guess. Twitter was never something I did. My first business, I did YouTube, the videos that you used to watch. It had like over 300,000 subs. Instagram, I've always been big on. TikTok, I went viral once, got like 100K followers, but then I just deleted, started a new one. So I know all these platforms except Twitter. Like Twitter always came like under the radar for me. I think it's because I'm a rambler, so I never liked the idea of like saying something in 270 characters. But damn, I mean, tell me more about Twitter. So how are you using it right now to get clients? Do you do like call to actions specifically every week, or do people just come to you, or how does it work?
Yeah, good question. So it's a mix, really. Most of the stuff that we do is like a DM funnel. So we'll ask people to basically DM us and have a conversation with them in the DMs and book them in for a call. So that's mainly what it is. And a lot of it's done through content. So longer form content like threads with a call to action at the end. You give away some value and kind of share that. We also share a lot of client results and stuff like that we do. That helps. We get bookings direct through the website as well. And then sometimes just hand raisers, sharing client transformations, like people would DM us too. So it's really a mix of things, but a lot of the stuff and the work we do is through the DM. And I think with Twitter, the great thing about it, it's kind of like having a consistent newsfeed of somebody. So what I found with the leads from Twitter is they're so warm and they're so engaged with me. The reason being is because they see like 10, 12 bits of content from me every single day. So they're really buying into me and who I am. And when they have that conversation or we shoot them a message, like they're really warm to that. And that's one of the big differences that I've seen. We also target a lot of people, and our niche is sort of CEOs, entrepreneurs, executives. There are a lot of these guys on Twitter looking at sports, they're looking at politics, and then my random thread will pop up about 5 best arm exercises, and they're like, oh, I'm going to check this guy out, follow his stuff. And there's far less competition compared to you go on Instagram and every single person is an Instagram influencer, fitness influencer, right? So it's quite interesting, that I found this kind of like little hole of
It's
work on Twitter.
It's very interesting that you say, and again, there are lots of stuff to unpack. So you're absolutely right that Twitter is kind of like still a little bit of an untouched space, because it's quote unquote easy for a dumb person, not to talk down on anyone, but it's easy for a dumb person to be good on Instagram, especially in your niche, because all they got to do is just flex their abs, flex their arms, and they'll still get a lot of reach. Now, even if they're not good at copywriting, even if they're not good at creating content, they'll still make tons of money, or at least enough, Twitter, however, you gotta be good at copywriting. You gotta be good at telling stories. You gotta be good at streamlining your thoughts. in a way so they're actually interesting, whether it's a 270 character simple tweet or it's a thread where you have to do more. So that's a very, very good point. And I've talked to Noah Morris as well. I don't know if you know him. He's pretty big on Twitter. He's in the YouTube automation space. And he was the one who really got me hooked on Twitter earlier. When was the Noah Morris episode? When was that? Last year?
Or last year, December.
Yeah, that's right. So it was last year in December. He really got me hooked on Twitter. And I just started posting. I'm like, this is pretty freaking cool because it also teaches me copywriting and other stuff.
Yeah.
But you kept saying a lot of times we. So what does your team look like?
Yeah, so at the minute we've got a small team that we have. So we've got a head coach that kind of manages all of the clients. That was the first thing I kind of looked to outsource, was just the fulfillment side of things, so I could focus on growing the business. We also have a sales guy that manages some of the DMs, sets meetings and books people in. We've then got a kind of content writer and copywriter that helps with my emails and writing some of the longer form stuff for me. And then we've got a VA who helps with some of the admin side of things, some of the graphics and some of the posting as well. So that's what the team looks like. It's about 4 people right now.
Sick. Very, very lean. That's what I love about the digital coaching consulting stuff. You can keep things so lean if you want.
Yep.
And it's really nice. How many DMers do you have? Is just one guy, or do you have several?
Yeah, just one guy that works incredibly hard. So one of the things that I've tried to learn about, hiring especially, and I'm definitely not an expert, is try and get A players within your team. And I found that with a small team, like my coach can handle a huge amount of clients. We get tons of renewals. He can also renew people. Like, he is an A player and I'd rather pay him more than have like 2 average coaches. And the same with my sales guy, right? I'm like, hey man, I'm going to incentivize you, but like, you're going to work fucking hard. And it's part of the culture that I try and bring in, because with the brand that I'm trying to build and that we've got, it's elite performance is the brand, right? And we work with high performing men. So I myself, as a business owner, also try to represent a high performance company and a high performance team. And when people come in, I say, this is what we stand for and this is what we believe in. This is the work ethic that we require. And it's a good filtering process to other people to be like, shit, I don't want to work with this guy. It's too much work. That's fine. You shouldn't work here. We want to work with, we want people that are going to be hard workers, especially at the stage we're in, that's, trying to scale and trying to grow. We want those hungry people. So yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned. And I'm sure you've probably learned that from building a huge team as well.
I mean, dude, it's like, not because a lot of people just think about costs when they're hiring people. They're like, well, if I just hire 2 people, 2 shitty VAs to do this, I pay much less money. But number one, the output just will be less compared to one guy that works above and beyond. And also, this is something that I just recently started realizing. It's also about complexity. Like, if you have 3 people to do the job of one, even if they would do it the same, even if they had the same output that one person had, you still have to talk to 3 different people. You have to manage 3 different people. It's much more complex. And now all of these 3 people, each one of them has a different personality. So with this guy, you got to be harsher. With the other guy, you can't be as harsh. So you got to adapt. That costs a lot of energy, momentum. Now you have 3 different end-of-day reports that you need to check, that you need to manage, 2 different shifts, and so on and so forth. So I literally just recently made the same thought. I'm like, damn, it's the complexity that also really messes you up.
Yeah,
so
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Do you do any Instagram as well? Because you do have 30,000, I see it right now, 35,000 followers on Instagram. Do you do some DMs there as well?
Yeah, so we've actually started the past couple of months actually venturing onto Instagram, and a lot of the stuff we're going to do is repurposing a lot of the stuff from Twitter onto there, as well as doing some more video content cut style of stuff, because we think that'll work really well. So we're actually looking to open up that channel to actually scale now. And once we've got the organic content nailed down, actually venture into some ads and some paid, because right now everything we've done has all been organic, which has been great. But I think with any organic, unless you've got millions and millions of followers, there's a cap on what you can earn. So diving into ads is what the plan is over the next year and the next couple of quarters. So that's the plan with those 2 things.
Dude, beautiful, man. Yeah, paid shout-outs on Instagram. I just had a meeting earlier today in the morning with my Instagram team, and we're like, yo, Instagram is actually our best converting funnel right now.
Wow.
By far. And we do shout-outs. So we do a lot organic. I went viral a couple times, but also paid shout-outs on top of that. We don't do the classic Instagram ads. I would never do that because it just destroys your organic reach. But if you do paid shout-outs, I still think maybe for the next 2 or 3 years, they're going to be still super duper undervalued, meaning much, much cheaper. Like the cost per lead, cost per call we're getting from there is much cheaper than Meta ads, YouTube ads, and so on and so forth. And so yeah, dude, it's going really, really well. Funny enough, because Instagram is so old, kinda, and like marketing on Instagram. Like, I remember I used to market on Instagram back in my dating advice days, 2014, 15. There wasn't even freaking stories yet and all that. You couldn't, dude. I remember you could only upload 4x4 photos.
That's right.
Like you had to crop your damn photo. There was no videos, and then they started doing videos. There was no reels, no nothing.
Yeah.
And we already used it. But nonetheless, this whole shout out thing still works super well. And I think I know why, because most coaches, most people in our sphere, they're like, okay, paid shout outs, got it. Sounds pretty interesting. Sounds really straightforward, the concept. But then they test it. They put like $400 somewhere, and then they say it didn't work, right? It's just typical, like, I did one shout out, paid $400, I only got 10 followers, blah, 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 it didn't work. And then they're like, it's so crazy because they're so afraid of spending freaking money. And what you got to do with shout outs, I tell this to my clients too, is like, just calculate in 1 or 2 months where you're going to blow 1,000 to 3,000 each month just to test things out. Just be ready for that. Like, calculate that in. But once you got that, dude, you're going to crush so much. I think especially you, Oliver, too, because you got really, really awesome copy that already works purely organically. And if you now just take the best performing copy, you slap it on the shout outs. Story shout outs is huge nowadays.
Yeah.
Not only getting shout outs on feeds, on someone else's feed, but also on the stories. I think you're going to be absolutely crushing it there, man.
Yeah, I love that, man. I have to test that out for sure.
Hell yeah. I also see, dude, Dan Coe is following you as well. You are one of his clients, or how's that going?
Dan Coe. So Dan Coe, he's a Twitter friend, man. So we met on Twitter, and before his huge rise, when he was a smaller account, we kind of got in at Twitter at the same time around 2019, 2020, and he started putting out some great content. So I used to have a podcast. I interviewed him on my podcast, and I was on his podcast back in the day. So
Sick.
Yeah, he's built a great brand. Fantastic brand.
Yeah, it's really crazy. When I started doing some content research for our new YouTube channel, I was also like, who does kind of similar stuff? Who is doing really, really well right now? And it was Dan Coe. And then I just like chugged a bunch of coffees. I had this period last, I think in February, where I just like drank 3-4 coffees in a row and just watched Dan Coe content. And I'm like, ooh, that stuff, good.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, shout out to the Dan. Because you just to circle back to Twitter right now, how often do you post per day? Do you have a minimum amount, maximum amount, something like that?
Yeah. So I do sort of 5 to 10 tweets per day as like kind of short tweets that are there, and then 3 like long form threads per week. So where I get most of my growth is through the long form threads, because people really get to buy into your knowledge, maybe your storytelling, whatever it is, and they hit that follow. So that's kind of the system I've had. I also did do paid growth for Twitter. So similar to Instagram shoutouts, where you can pay for people to share your content on there, you can get big accounts to retweet some of your stuff. And some of the big, huge accounts that you see now are some of the guys that have helped me grow my account through kind of paid stuff. So, a lot of people will say, oh, Twitter's all organic, like, and things like that. Not always. Like, you can do a paid side of things on there. But also, again, it's one of the good things about Twitter is community. So now I'm friends with a lot of the big accounts on there. They will organically share my stuff if they resonate with some of the things that I share. So it's like that tight-knit community in there, which helps growth. So that's a little bit around growth and kind of how I post.
Got it. What's your writing process look like? Do you just write in bulk and then you trickle it out, post it out over the week, or do you just like slap your thoughts in there as they come up?
Yeah, really good question. So like my ideation process is I like to let things come to me, and I just use Apple Notes in my phone to save it and then basically share it. So I'll be like at the gym, like training, getting a pump, and I'm like, damn, I've got a great tweet right now. So I bang it into the notes, right? That's what I do. Or like I'll be out and I'll be at dinner with somebody having a conversation, and they'll say something and I'll be like, shit, that's a good take. I'm going to have, let's write a tweet about that, right? So that's kind of how I do it. And then I schedule them all like, on a Monday or a couple of times a week to help with, just ensuring they go out systematically. So yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that's exactly how I have it too. I have the notepad on my iPhone. It's called Value Nuggets.
Nice.
And every time I talk to someone or podcast or audiobook or just a thought that comes in, I like slap it down there. And then like, I'm like, oh, I want to post some Twitter stuff. I literally just go through the list and I'm like, all right, let's go.
I love it. That's the way.
Yeah. It's so sick. And I just recently started it about a year ago or something. And it's so much. Like the value, it's literally like my life lessons, like my biggest life lessons, the biggest aha moments, like all in one file. And then I just recuperate that, like adjust it to my niche and slap it out there. And people seem to really dig it too. It's this constant giving and taking of like you learn new things and they really blow your mind, and then you adjust it and you pass them on to others.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really cool. It's like learning and teaching the whole time, and you get to build your brand as you do that. So that's pretty nice.
It's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Amen to that. And do you have any, okay, so apart from just posting 8 to 10 times a day, which is, by the way, or 5 to 10 times, is crazy. Do you have any sort of strategy behind it to grow the Twitter?
Yeah. So I like look at my content in like 3 kind of like buckets, right? So you've got like reach, teach, and tell, right? So like the reach kind of stuff is, okay, how can I get maximum reach from this? How can I wind up some people that are going to get pissed off by something? How can I ruffle some feathers? You know, how can I give a strong opinion that I actually truly believe in, but other people might disagree with it, or something that's very relatable, that's very wide, right? So that really opens the funnel to lots of people coming in. I like to use that content quite a lot. There was one that I did talking about dresses, right? Which is it's still a running joke that I get now on sales calls. So I talked about going on a date with a British girl and then going on a date with a Russian girl, and like the difference between asking them both to wear a dress, and like it went completely mega viral. I had tons of people like giving me shit. I had like people like sending me like horrible messages in the DMs, but at the same time there were like hundreds, even thousands of people that agreed with what I said, were like, fair play, like thank you for saying this sort of thing. And it built like a bit more of a cult following, which was cool. So yeah, like that reach stuff can be good. Teach stuff as well, just showing like I'm an authority. So this can be health, nutrition, fitness based. I've been training now for like 15 years. So like I live and breathe health and fitness, so just kind of sharing that kind of stuff. And then like story-based stuff. So I think, you know, things that have been happening within my life, my travels, also, you know, some of my failures, like the story I spoke about of me going broke and filling vending machines, times that I'd abused alcohol and be lonely when I was working corporate, like sharing those kinds of things as well just helps build a bit of a connection. So I just try and layer like those 3 things into my content. And I feel that that's a really good mix to hit some good chords, you know.
Yeah, it's the classic top of the funnel, mid of the funnel kind of stuff. The top of the funnel is always the general stuff that gets you to reach. Middle of the funnel is to kind of like educate people a little bit more about what you do, the opportunity behind it. Yeah. And then the bottom of the funnel is just like converting people. Damn, that's awesome, dude. Now, when you're saying Twitter is kind of like your main account, is that something that you just slipped into, or was there a conscious decision behind it?
It was, I completely like slipped into it, man. So it was 2020 when I really started taking it seriously, and this was COVID time, and I was locked away at home, and I was going on Instagram and I was posting all of these home workouts, and I was getting sick of it because every day I didn't have any content ideas. I was like, right, I'm just going to keep posting these home workouts, and it did pretty well. But I then like went onto Twitter because, you know, you're locked at home and you're bored. And I found this circle of Twitter called Money Twitter, which it is now. And it's like a self-improvement part of Twitter where people are not talking about sports and politics and all this stuff, but they're talking about, you know, leveling up dating. They're talking about, you know, making more money, getting in shape and things like that. And there were a few big accounts that I saw on there. And I just started basically writing my thoughts and my ideas through Twitter and started connecting with some of these accounts. And I think one of the best things that I did was I wanted to know everybody on Twitter. So I just started a podcast so I could speak with all the biggest guys on Twitter. So all the big accounts that you see now, like they're all my friends because I've podcasted with them for like an hour. So they got to know me. They followed me back. They would reshare my content. And that's how I initially grew, which was pretty crazy. And then I found that there were certain topics that you could talk about on Twitter, dresses being one of them, mental health and depression being one of them, you know, to share these kinds of things. And this is where like content started to go viral and I really started to build, you know, a following. So I kind of fell into it and then just kind of taught myself a few things of how to do it, looked at how, you know, controversy worked, and that helped me scale, which is pretty cool.
That money Twitter thing sounds interesting. Like, how exactly does that work? Is that just like people? Is that a specific account, or is that just a group that is called like that, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's
I feel like an old man right now. I feel like you're explaining it to your grandpa. You know, like so. Where is the Twitter? Can I go there?
Yeah, so it's the community that like you're part of, that we're all in. So like the guys that you're following, the guys that I'm following, like we call this Money Twitter. And if you go on your feed and you see people talking about all of these things, you know, whether it's location independence, dating, fitness, you know, anything that's self-improvement, it's all based within this kind of one community. So all of the accounts are in there. So it's like this one corner of the internet that doesn't talk about politics and bullshit. Yeah. It actually talks about self-improvement.
That's always what I love. It's like you can so easily get sucked into this whole stuff of like the politics and the crazy I mean, everything, left versus right, so-and-so versus this, and you got to pick a side, or otherwise you're racist, or you're bigot, or if the other side, now you're just some crazy conservative, or you're crazy leftist liberal. And then there's all just people out there that are just like, yep, you guys go crazy over there, I'm just making money.
I'm here to make money.
I'm just here making money, having a good time, eating steak with my buddies, going to the gym, increasing my testosterone, making love to my girlfriend. Like, that's it. And you guys go crazy over there, bashing your heads in. I'm over here with my buddies, doing shit we really like. It's so crazy. I feel like this is becoming like more and more, like it takes more and more. It takes a conscious effort every person needs to make in order to not get sucked into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it's hard. Like, you're opening Twitter, and then stuff that you don't follow just gets put on your feed. Shit that you don't follow on Instagram just gets put on your feed. It's almost like the algorithms, sure, they kind of want to keep us up to date. I'm not saying the algorithms are evil. I'm just saying this is stuff that everybody talks about, and then you're like, well, what, really? Well, fuck that. And now you're just reading the headlines. You're super duper uninformed. You're just triggered and super uninformed. And it takes a mental energy, it takes a mental capacity. And I think, with guys like you and I, we're people who want to take action. We're people that want to make a change. So it's really frustrating when you're confronted with a problem that you have zero influence on.
Yep.
Like I remember when the war in Ukraine happened, and I had 2 of my offices in Kiev. I was out of Ukraine when the invasion happened. I had told my staff many, many weeks beforehand, hey, if it gets too hot for you, please go. You can leave the country. It's no problem. We'll work online anyways. Yeah. But then the invasion thing happened, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do. Mm-hmm. The only thing I could do is I posted on my Instagram to connect people like, hey, here's so-and-so people that need to get out. So-and-so people, they were refugees out of Ukraine. They're trying to find a place here and here. So I just shouted everybody out and connected a bunch of people. So I guess I could do something. But other than that, in the bigger picture, you're just powerless. And it just drains your fucking energy. So you need to make a conscious decision to say, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to focus on the things that I can have an influence on. My business, my clients, my girlfriend, my family, my team. And I'm just trying to, quote unquote, make the world a better place in this smaller circle of influence. I'm trying to be a happy person. I'm trying to be not an asshole. I'm trying to not cut off the guy at the on the road today when I'm going to the gym. Like small things like that. I'll try to be nice to the person that I buy the banana bread from today. Like small things like that. And I think if you live your life like that, it's kind of like the only way not to go crazy, and also the only way to actually really have an influence.
100%. No, I completely agree with what you said there. I actually tweeted something once which said it went pretty viral and caused a bit of controversy. It was like less social justice, more personal responsibility. And I think that sums things up quite well, right? It's kind of like, if you want to make the world better, start with yourself, right? Start with the people around you. Start with focusing on the things that you can control, because, over a long enough timeline, you're going to influence enough people to then have an impact instead of, running around protesting, shouting and, being a dickhead about it. I think there's a much better way to solve the problem.
Yeah, there's so much better ways to solve the problem. Amen to that. Yeah. It's like, I remember once I was on my way, it was in New York City many, many years ago. I think Trump had just been elected, and this is not going to be a in defense of Trump or against Trump thing. Don't worry, dear listener. But I remember I was there to do a seminar, and it was like and the New York seminars are always big. They're like 500, 600 people. And I was on my way from the hotel to the seminar room. And as I was walking there, I was coming across this like protest, like Trump's not my president. And I'm just like, I'm on my way to do something really productive and speak in front of 600 people, selling something, trying to have an impact. And I almost felt bad because I'm like, I understand it's important to go out in the street and voice your concerns. And I think it's also valuable that people have the right to do that, because in some countries you don't have the fucking right to do that. So it's good that people practice it. But then at the same time, I was asking myself, would I ever do that? And I just couldn't get myself to a yes, because I'm like, I would just stand there. What for what? It wouldn't create anything productive for me. So that was always kind of like a strange thought for me. I'm like, you guys are wasting an entire day just holding up signs. I don't think you're going to do much anyways. If you really actually want to have an impact, build $1 billion company so you can actually influence elections. Like, imagine that. You know what I mean? Like, you with your little sign aren't going to do much. If you really want to fuck Trump, go build $1 billion business and just fund the opposition with their freaking campaign,
Absolutely, man. There's actually a story that I've got when I was at university. There was a debate that we were having about a certain thing, and it was a very political debate. And one girl in the class started saying, "Well, I disagree with this, and I disagree with these points, and these are the reasons why." Right, and listed off all the reasons why she disagreed with it. And the lecturer turned around and said, "That's absolutely fine." He was really relaxed and goes, "What are you going to do about it?" And that was what he said. And she, went on, did all this mental masturbation. She went around in circles to say all of this stuff, but she didn't have a logical argument as to why that is. And I think that's a really good story to actually depict, okay, you can complain about this, you can have, views on this, but what are you actually going to do to help influence it and do something about it? And I think that that's really powerful.
Dude, I almost feel like it's become part of our culture to... It's almost like this whole idea of virtue signaling is almost more important than actually doing something. You're signaling that you're pro this and against that and so on and so forth, and then people already applaud you, right? Because you're part of our tribe because you're also against it, but ultimately, like, what are you actually doing against it? It's also like these... Like, here's the crazy thing. I'm super, super pro save the environment. I'm like, I love nature. I love the fishes. I love the animals. I'm a huge fan of, for example, Boyan Slat. You know this guy, the ocean cleanup dude?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Love that guy. I bought so much stuff. I donated to this company. I love that shit. But then I see some of these freaking, what are these against oil people that are like gluing their hands to what are they called? I don't even know.
Just Oil.
Yeah, the Just Oil. Yeah, those guys. And I'm like, you're not doing anything. You're doing zero. Like, if you want to be productive, go make a ton of money. And then buy land that can't be fucked with. Go plant trees. Donate it to rehabilitation centers of endangered species. But don't glue yourself there. And then I thought, like, these people don't actually want change. They want power. They want to have the moral high ground. They want they want to feel good because they say things, but they don't actually do things. They want to say, I did something good today because I glued my stupid hand to the ground and pissed a bunch of people off and kept them from going to work, which arguably costs even more CO2 because now you're holding up the traffic and all these cars are just standing there with their engine on. So it's this whole idea nowadays of, like, just do stupid shit to get attention and scream out a bunch of stupid nonsense instead of actually doing something.
100%. It's having a sense of importance without any of the responsibility that goes with it, right? It's smashing up a painting in London and, saying, I'm doing this, and then going home and doing nothing about it and just complaining, right? Whereas real people that are doing real shit, they don't have time to virtual signal or do shit. They've got businesses to run. They've got employees that they've got to look after. They've got customers they've got to look after. They have actually got real problems. So, they always say that cliche, you can judge the size of a man by the size of his problems. And I think that that's a very important thing to note in these situations, right?
Amen to that, dude. Amen to that. But let's change the topic a little bit away from this like crazy politics and stuff. So how is your life like right now in Dubai? Have you fully settled in? Do you already have a routine? How fast does it go?
Yeah. So it's been pretty quick, to be honest. The only thing is I've had friends come to stay, which has disrupted things. As you probably know with Dubai, everybody wants to fly in and stay with you. And I've got a spare room, right? So I'm now a hotel to most people. But, I don't mind it. I love having my friends to stay. And it was actually one of the reasons why I got it, right? And I think with a lot of places that people go, and especially places like Dubai that are very beautiful, very luxurious, it's easy to get very lonely if you don't have the right people around you, right? So for me, like, I always want to make sure my mum could come and stay, my family could come and stay, because that stuff is like so important to me and things like that. So after the month of like, trying to get things set up, like, it's been pretty smooth, man. I'm into a good routine. I'm training, I'm going out and getting a nice tan, working a lot. And one of the big things that I've realized here is the level of people that you meet here are crazy. And, when I'm back in the UK, like, I make, okay money in like my city or wherever I'm from, come here and I'm like the poorest guy in the room, which, for some people is like, very, very intimidating. But for me, I'm really inspired by this, and I'm kind of like a sponge. I just intake all of this information. Went for dinner with some guys the other day, and they're making like £1 million a day through some stuff, and I'm kind of like, damn, like that is crazy. Like, I've never even seen that kind of, level of success yet. And it inspires me to, not only push myself, but to hopefully reach those levels as well, which is great. And for me as well, like meeting clients out here is like so easy. On the first week I was here, I went on to like a boat party with some friends, and it was like a big crypto yacht party. And I just signed like 3 clients like that day from just being on the yacht, right? So, there are a lot of good things about Dubai, like the safety. You've obviously got the weather that's good. The gyms are good. There's lots to do, but obviously there is like that other side, which is like the distraction side. It's like the sex work side. It's like the other negatives that come with it. So when people say Dubai is all amazing, I'm a big fan and I'm a proponent of it, but with everything, there's a trade-off and there are negative sides to it as well. So, yeah.
I mean, I've had Mario Tomic on. He's also great fitness guy.
I know him, seen him.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. Everybody knows each other, right?
Yeah.
the money Twitter right there. And he says, there's never solutions. There's only trade-offs.
Yeah.
And that really fucked with me. like when do we have the Mario Tomic podcast? Was it also? I can't remember what year is it? It was this year. Oh, that's right. So ever since he talked to me about that, I constantly think about this. I'm like, there's no solutions, only trade-offs. I'm like, damn it, he's right. God damn it. And it's so true. But, the other thing that you also said is like, I think the worst thing that can happen to you is you're the richest guy at the dinner table. Because that means you're the one who gives. And I mean, you can still learn from people that make less money. But the whole idea is that you constantly surround yourself with people that make you feel dumb. Just like you said. Yeah. I mean, if I'm hanging out with some dudes on a yacht that make $1 million a day, I'm like, I'm fucking dumb. Here I am making my 3-4 million a year. You're making $1 million a day. Damn it. I'm stupid. Yep. I'm just some stupid dwarf from Austria compared to the guy making $1 million a day. Jesus Christ. And so I like the idea of being humbled all the time, because we humans are stupid. We're not going to learn when things are going well. We're not gonna. We wish it was like that, but I've had really, really good times in my business, and I've had really, really shitty times in my business as well. And the good times were great, but I didn't learn shit. I was like, nah.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I'm cool. I'm the coolest. I'm the best. I don't need to learn this. It was always only when some dumb, bad shit happened that I was like, damn it. Okay, I need to get better at that.
100%. I always say it's not the weeks where you hit the record months that make you an entrepreneur. It's the weeks where you have cash flow issues. You've got no calls on the calendar. Your girlfriend's arguing with you and wants a new Chanel bag. One of your staff is saying, hey, I want a pay rise. And, you can't get your content to work. And, you've got a friend staying that week and you've got to entertain them. When you get through those weeks and you overcome all of those problems, that's the entrepreneur. That's you. That's the character that it builds. The success is just, a byproduct of those tough times that you've been through, those failures, those struggles, the times you can't sleep at night. That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, the times you can't sleep at night. And that's the crazy thing, because I almost feel like all this make money online stuff, the saying marketers ruin everything. And it kind of is like that, because over the last, the pendulum is swinging back now, which is good. But like the last couple of years, it was just like marketers selling products, and they all tried to one-off each other, right? So this one guy's like, yeah, you can do this with whatever, 2 hours a day. And the next guy's like, you can do it with 1 hour a day. And then the other guy's like, you can do this without anything. This new business model is so easy. So it was all like, who can make it sound the easiest and the best? And of course, as a marketer, you want your product or your program to appear in the best possible spot. But then at the same time, what this also results in long term is like a bunch of really frustrated people that started a business expecting things to be easy. And granted, starting a business is now easier than it's ever been before. I tweeted about this the other day too. I mean, I get like 5 likes on it, but still, this if you are an entrepreneur like 300 years ago, you had to like cross deserts. You had to like fend off freaking people that wanted to steal all your stuff. You could just get murdered. And then, maybe if you're lucky, you make a sale in another city like 2 months later. And nowadays, You're sitting there in your freaking sweatpants. You got like infinite reach. You have the whole world at your fingertips, perfect clients. You just need to reach out to them and create some cool content. It's kind of easier than ever before, but it's still fucking tough. Like you said.
Yep.
And it's funny enough because I feel like girlfriends have a sixth sense to always start an issue when you're already fucked anyways. Like the business is going tough, you're under stress, and now your girlfriend is like, hey, you know the dishwasher, da da da, and you're like, damn it, this couldn't have happened last week when everything was great, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a really, really high pressure situation nonstop. But the thing is, a lot of people think, oh, I just got to do this. I got to get so and so many clients, make so and so much money, hire these people. They always think around the corner is when things will become easy. But then at some point, if you talk to a veteran that has been in the business for longer, they already know it's never going to be easy. The only difference is you'll grow stronger, so it doesn't bother you as much anymore, you know?
100%, man. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of David Deida, and in his book, The Way of the Superior Man, he talks about this chapter where he says, you know, it's never the end, right? Like, you're always going to be tussling with life. You're always going to have your girlfriend complaining. You're always going to have problems with business. You're always going to have this stuff going on. And like, you know, the mastery of men is to be able to, you know, be fluid with that and be able to handle it and roll with it and realize that it's part of life. And that really stuck with me through a lot of the challenges I've been with. It's kind of like, hey, man, like, belt up, like, this is life, let's fucking go, you know, like, it's not going to get easier, let's just do this.
Yeah, you hear that, listener? It's always going to suck. That's fine. That's fucking life. All right, that's life. Like, you expected things to be hard, right? This is what hard feels like. It's a great Hormozy quote. It's like, expected things to be hard, this is what hard feels like. But then again, I mean, you know, you with your bodybuilding fitness background, I'm like, your muscles just grow, you know? Like, the dumbbell you pick up is just going to get heavier and heavier. You're not complaining, oh, it gets heavier. No, it's just like, oh, it doesn't bother me as much anymore, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that's also why I think, like, you know, fitness and or personal development and or dating advice is such a good, like, entry-level drug for all this thing, because it teaches you metaphorically, listen, the weights you're going to lift are only going to become heavier. But you'll grow stronger in the process, and as a side effect of you growing stronger in the process, you're going to look better, you have higher bone density, you can eat more. It's especially key for me. This whole, like, the whole reason why I'm growing muscles, so kind of damn eat more food, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same with businesses. You're building a business muscle, and there's going to be more shit thrown at you, and difficult clients will always be there. And then the funny thing is, a lot of people think that when they build a big brand, things become easier. I mean, you've experienced it yourself. I've certainly experienced it with both my businesses. And a lot of things do get easier. For example, clients coming to you becomes easier. But then also, when you fuck up, it's way more on the spotlight, right? You say one uncalibrated thing, somebody makes a video about you. Oh, Max, it's this and that, right? Like, everything you do. I've had literally people find out where I live. I've had literally had people DM me a photo of my apartment. It's like, this is where you live. Like, I'm watching you. Like, crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
So there's no solutions. There's only trade-offs, you know?
100%, man. Yeah, I had a tweet that went viral once. It was about, you know, it was on Mental Health Day, and I said, you know, before you self-diagnose yourself with mental health issues, make sure you look after yourself, that you eat, you surround yourself with supportive people. You know, you're not always going to need like SSRIs and all this medication. Like, you just need to take control of your life, right? So this got 100,000 likes. I think this was my most viral tweet. So this reached like the corners of the internet you didn't even know about, and everybody with all of the illnesses that you can think of came at me right at this point. And I was even getting to the point where my phone would go off so much because I was getting DMs from people saying, fuck you. They were pulling up my old tweets saying that I was this, that I was that. People were booking in calls into my calendar and writing like hate messages and like threats to me. And I was like, damn, like, this is actually quite nasty off the back of, you know, what I was trying to give as sensible advice. So when you have a personal brand, like, that's what's going to happen. And I think if you're going to put yourself out on the internet, you've got to have thick skin, and you just can't be a pussy, man. Like, this is the game, right? You've got to be able to handle that kind of stuff. If you want to get reach and you want to have influence, it's part of the game, as we've said.
I mean, I remember Tyler once, I had just started my YouTube channel in the dating niche. I got like whatever 5,000 subs or something like that, and then I proudly showed him my latest videos, and all the comments were positive. Everybody's like, "This is great," and I'm like, "Look at this, Tyler." 100% positive comments, and he's like, "Oh man, that sucks." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, dude. Like, you're not like, if you only get positive views, it means you're not reaching new people. You're not making people think. You're not triggering people enough. Like, just like you said, like, you gotta. Not only do you have to have a thick skin, it's almost like you got to seek that confrontation. You got to seek kind of being out there. Your aim with your brand shouldn't be to be liked. Your aim with your brand should be loved / hated.
Yep.
That's real. Like, people are not going to buy from you because they think you're cool or decent. They're going to buy from you because they think you're fucking awesome.
Exactly. 100%. You look at the biggest brands that have been successful throughout, the past year or so, right? Andrew Tate, Alex Hormozy, you look at, PBD, you look at all of these guys, they're all got things to say that people disagree with, and they're not afraid to like put their line in the sand and say, hey, this is what I believe in. But these are the biggest brands with millions of followers, with cult followings. So yeah, you're completely right.
We interrupt this by having a quick word from our sponsor, which is nobody. I don't have a sponsor. Maybe I'll have a sponsor at some point. Right now, I don't have it. The only two things I'm asking you for is, number one, drop a comment or a like or a 5-star rating wherever you're watching this or listening to this. If it's YouTube or iTunes or Spotify, there's probably some sort of 5-star rating thing or a comment section. Please do so, because it helps me rank higher, reach more people, give more awesome value, and of course also get more awesome guests on. And also, if you think like, hey, I got a friend or a colleague that would absolutely profit from listening to this conversation, please share it. Spread the word. Send it out to more people. If you like this podcast, probably other people like it as well. Like I said, I'm giving all this value here for free, so the only thing I'm asking you is if you share and give a thumbs up and a comment. Thank you so much. And without any further ado, let's crack right back into it. Talking about cult following, so that was also one of the things that I wanted to ask you. So you did hang out with Andrew Tate, something like a couple of years ago or something like that?
Yeah. So it's crazy. So this is when I first started my Twitter account. Me and Andrew followed each other, and we had similar views on the whole kind of COVID thing, right? That we thought it was a bit of a scam and this kind of stuff. So we used to kind of share our thoughts on this, and we'd go and sort of like each other's tweets. I randomly posted a video that I was in Prague, and he basically DM'd me and said, hey bro, like I'm in Prague, like do you fancy meeting up? And I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. So I was like, to my friends, I sent them the message, I was like, this Andrew Tate's actually asked to meet me for a cigar and some dinner. Like, is it actually him? Is this a fake account? What's going on? But yeah, genuinely, I walked into this cigar lounge and he's like, hey bro, how are you? And so we chilled for like 2 hours. We talked about fitness. We talked about some world affairs and stuff like that, and kind of Twitter life. And I got to hang out with him. And, a lot of people say a lot of bad things about him, but the person that I met, he was very kind of down to earth. He is who he says he is. And I'm also like kind of connected with some of his close friends, and his close friends say that he's very genuine and he wants the best for people. So again, I think with the internet, like sometimes you watch a 15-second TikTok of someone and you could be like, he's an asshole, maybe. But when you see someone in person or you watch a longer form bit of content, I think, you're going to have a different perception of them, which I definitely think with Andrew, I'm a big fan of him. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I think his message overall is positive to people. So yeah, I generally had a good experience.
I mean, it's like he knows how to play 2024. Like, he knows how to play how things work nowadays, which is say a bunch of provocative shit. It gets you the reach. And, funny enough, just to go full circle with RSD, that's what we used to do too, is like be provocative, have some crazy shit out there. Because then people are like, at first they're like, fuck this guy. And then they're like, okay, well, let me watch this video to, they have a point, to, okay, they're awesome. Like, it's so much easier to trigger people at first to get their attention. And then they go check out your other stuff. And if they then go from, I hate them because of their provocative view, to, okay, they have a point, now you got them. Because now you've successfully rode the wave of attention, and now people get sucked into that vortex, and now they really love your content. I've never seen someone say, well, their content is decent, I guess, and they're likable, and now I'm a huge fan. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't happen, yeah. And I noticed this as well. My big transition was when I was a fitness coach, and all I was doing was putting out, hey, you need a calorie deficit, eat more protein, do this kind of stuff. And I looked at myself, I'm like, I'm a boring bastard. Would I follow me? Absolutely not, right? So then I started talking about, other things, my worldviews and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's what people want now, is that you look at the trend now of people buying into people like Sam Sulek. What they love is authenticity. They love you being yourself and sharing your views. Whether they agree with you or not, they like them. They like the thought of going, shit, I don't know if I agree with this guy, but fair play, he said it. He says what he believes in. I like that. And then that just builds that human connection. Whereas, with ChatGPT now, anyone can write, 10 ways to lose fat, right? You just put it into there, you post it. It's got no authenticity, no kind of level of personality with it, no level of humor. So when I've tried to build my brand, I've tried to integrate those in with obviously, social proof and good fitness content as well. And I think that's what's helped me grow my brand, is actually adding that side of things in, which I think is essential for any personal brand.
I always say the world enables 8 billion monopolies if people only had the balls to just be themselves instead of copying what they think is going to get them likes.
I love it.
And that's really true. It's like, you got to make, because I still hear it. I mean, again, especially in your niche, like fitness niche, I still hear it almost every day. Oh, but my niche is oversaturated. There's already so many people, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Yes, but just create your own niche. Like, you're your own niche. But if you're the 50th guy that talks about the same shit over and over again, people are not going to listen. Unfortunately, it's not 2014 anymore where you can just have like 3 tips on how to talk to a girl and go viral with it. Like, I just had my beginner live call with my beginner clients yesterday, and the day before I have always my group live call with my advanced clients. Everything we do one-on-one, but of course, on top of that, we have group calls. And then with my advanced clients, you see the content that they're posting, and it's like nuanced, it's cool, it's awesome, it has an interesting hook, and you can really work with something like that. And then I see the beginner clients, and they're just like, 3 tips on what not to say on the first date, like, you know, like, and I'm like, look, man, I've seen 50 posts like that today alone. So what I always recommend is like 2 things. Number 1, have the balls to be themselves, just like you said yourself correctly. Like, go talk about your worldview. Don't put yourself into the box of like, I can only talk about protein and calorie deficit, like you said so nicely. That's one thing. And then the other thing I would also almost say is do at least 30 minutes a day of checking out your competitors, just to see what is the shit that everybody talks about that is super random, that is just going to be the 50th content piece with the same topic, but also find out what kind of works really well right now and try to see if you can give it your personal twist on it. Like, these
100%.
30 minutes a day are so golden. Everybody's just in their little microcosm and like, why am I not getting likes? Because they're not aware of what's going on in their respective niche. And because they're not aware of it, they cannot create their own niche within a niche.
100%. I love that second part about researching like the competition and seeing what's working well, because a good thing that I've tried to incorporate is something called like counterculture, right? So if you see somebody posting something, like I made fun of like all the hybrid athletes recently, right? Because the hybrid athletes, what they do is these guys jump on the trend, they do their first 5K and like, oh, I'm a hybrid athlete. So I kind of just called out the bullshit on this. Like, you know, these guys aren't hybrid. They're just jumping into a trend. Like, fuck this shit. Like,
what is that hybrid thing? I don't even know.
Oh, a hybrid athlete. So basically a hybrid athlete means you mix strength training and some form of cardio together. And if you go on Instagram in the fitness niche, you see like, hey, like my like life as a hybrid athlete, right? My day as a hybrid athlete. And then these guys sell these hybrid programs, like jumping on this big fucking trend. So I did one saying, look, I'm a hybrid athlete. You know, I do a bit of boxing, I do a bit of training. I'm like, no jokes, fuck that shit. Like I'm not this person that just walks up the stairs and calls myself a hybrid athlete, right? And it caused a bit of controversy because like you're just calling out the bullshit. And I think that kind of like looking at what people are doing and having your own unique take on it, you know, as a counterculture thing is like a really good way to, you know, get some reach on things.
That hybrid athlete thing, it completely went over my head. I was not even aware of that. I remember the keto thing when that became big. My good friend of mine, King Keto, Brandon Carter, shout out. He was one of the first guys that made it really big. Before that was intermittent fasting. Also a good friend of mine, Gregor Gallagher from Keto Body. Both are still crushing it. But what are like some other current trends right now that you see in your own niche?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the kind of whole foods kind of trend that you see, right? So you're only going to eat organic, and there's there's no room for anything unhealthy, which I think is like a little bit of orthorexia in the sense that, you know, people will have like a Diet Coke and then they'll be like, man, you're so unhealthy. I can't believe that, you know, you're doing this. It's so unhealthy. Where, you know, if 90% of your week is good, I don't think that that's an issue. And I think, that's been a big thing. I've seen a lot of Eddie Abu stuff, which is quite good, right? About, I don't know if you've come across his stuff.
Wait, what is it? Who's that Eddie? What?
His name's Eddie Abu. So basically he goes into supermarkets and talks about how supermarket food is terrible, right? And he's like has these funny sayings. And he's like an ex bodybuilder that kind of does this.
He's on Instagram, Twitter. What's his kind of thing?
He's on Instagram. So he does these reels and these videos about, you know, eating healthy whole foods, which is pretty good. So if you search him up and look at his videos, they're quite funny. The way that he posts, yeah.
I mean, who's this other guy that is like obsessed with staying alive forever?
Bryan Johnson. Yeah.
Yes, that guy. So I see people being huge fanboys of him. Then I see other people saying it's a complete scam or whatever he does is just all hypey. What's your take on him?
I think he is doing something really unique, right? And as with the clients that we work with, like longevity is actually really interesting. So we do a lot of health testing and things like that. So I actually learned about his supplement protocol and some of these other things, are good hacks that you can add in for people. But I think with health, right, people miss the picture of the average American man is 30% body fat. The average American woman is 40% body fat. Do they need 100 of supplements in the morning, blue light blockers, all of this kind of red light therapy, and, a huge routine that they've got ingrained into their life? Or do they just need some consistency, need to stop eating so much, sleep better, and ensure that they've got some whole foods in their diet? Well, I think the latter is probably what they need to start with as well. So people will get really confused. They'll be like, I'm going to avoid plastic, I'm going to do all this, but they're 30% body fat. They can't bench their own body weight. And it's kind of like, well, you should actually start with the metrics that are going to have the biggest ROI, such as sleep, exercise, nutrition, compared to trying to optimize for things that you're not ready to optimize for, right? It's kind of like the guy that can't get his first sale, but is then talking about how he's going to hire all these people and have a great company. It's kind of like, well, just focus on making money first, man. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, like Karate Kid, like wax the floor.
Exactly.
Off kind of thing. Dude, it's so true. I mean, it's people always look for the magical solutions, and when they see some crazy guy who's like, I take 60 supplements a day, they're like, this sounds great. that must be the key, It's look. Yeah. I always think about my dad. God bless him. He's 60 now, and he's with all the love, he's lazy. All right, and he's massively overweight, and he's just constantly looking for the quick fix. He's like, but Max, I heard that when you do this, it's when you just drink coffee all day. I'm like, look, Dad. No, your problem is you eat chocolate at 10 p.m. before you go to bed. Like, you eat an entire bar. Like, you can drink coffee as much as you want. It's not going to help. So what I started now about 1.5 years ago is I kind of found the one thing that he loves more than not working out, and that is money, or not spending money. Let me put it that way. So he's like a typical old man. Like, he loves, look at this, I bought this, it was €1 off. It was a special at the grocery store. It was €1 off. Like, he talks about this one saved euro forever. So I said, listen, Dad, I'm gonna pay your gym for you, but you need to go to the gym twice a week, and you have to send me selfies when I'm not at home, when I'm not in Austria, as proof that you're there, and when I'm there, we're going to go work out together. But if you miss it once, you're going to have to pay for that month yourself. So this old guy, he's been going to the gym every single week, twice a week, because he doesn't want to pay the damn gym. So he does that, and at least he's working out, I haven't gotten him to not eat like a complete fat guy like I often do, but at least it's now going into gains, and he's telling me, he's like, yo, I can like bench more. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, I touched my chest, it's like, it's much tighter than before, and all this. So at least his bone density, and it's probably his heart 100%. Profits from it and shit like that. Yeah. So shout out to my dad. So what is like, do you, because people don't see it now on the video, but you're like massively shredded. You got really sick gains. You're pretty shredded. What's your height? Man. What's your weight? And then also, do you still have a goal, or are you like, I'm happy, I just kind of want to maintain my physique?
Yeah, good question. So I'm 5'7", so one of the short kings, and I'm about
short kings.
That's it, man. That's it. And I'm about 75 kilos, so sort of around 164 pounds, roughly, I would say. So I'm pretty. People think I'm heavier than I am, so I'm not. It's just I'm quite short. So that's been kind of, for me now, it's not really about getting any bigger or getting any more shredded. It's like, well, how fit can I be and how well can I perform for business? Like, for me, like, that's the thing. So can I be flexible? Can I not get injuries? Can I still box and move and things like that? For me, like, that's really important, as well as just like having like really good output for work. So for me, it's kind of like, can I be focused? Can I ensure that I'm not, getting slumped at 3 p.m. in the afternoon? Can I optimize my sleep quality to get, as much deep and REM as possible? Can I ensure like my testosterone's at a good level, my cortisol's down, my cholesterol's in a good, like, these sort of things are what I care about now. Because for the whole of my 20s, I'm 29 now. When I was in my early 20s, all I cared about was getting big to get chicks. So that's all I cared about, man. Like, that's all I wanted. But as I've got older, like, my priorities have shifted. So I'm more in kind of like the performance and longevity kind of side of things now, which I think is pretty cool.
That is a very, very interesting point that you bring, that you basically, I've heard that earlier today by the one and only Ty Lopez, who barely ever posts on Instagram anymore, but I did come across a great post of him. He says, like, most people optimize for the wrong things. And he said, he met a lot of entrepreneurs that optimized for the wrong things. They're like 50, 60, and now they're realizing, I optimized my entire life for the wrong thing. I optimized my life for making money, for example. And then I'm like, I was at the gym watching this in between sets, And I'm like, what am I optimize? Like, what would I like to optimize for, and what have I optimized for over the last 2 years? And I literally caught myself in the same damn trap. I'm like, damn it, I optimized for making money. You're like, damn, I got into this whole thing because I wanted freedom and a cool life and help people out. And now I just optimize for money. Like, damn it, what's happening? So in a weird sense, I was really looking forward to this podcast because I'm like, this podcast is not going to make me any money. Not really. I mean, maybe it grows my brand because I have you on and vice versa. But ultimately, I'm like, I just want to talk to someone fucking cool because that are the things why I got into the business in the first place. And now you saying that you don't optimize for size anymore, but you're optimizing for efficiency in your business and energy, that's really, really fucking interesting, man.
Yeah.
So in this regard, because we're exactly the same height and exactly the same weight, which is funny.
Yep.
What's your calorie intake per day that ensures that you stay focused?
Yeah, for sure. So the way that I kind of fix my diet now, it's very much like a high protein, lower carb approach with kind of fasting in the morning. So I used to always have breakfast when I was trying to bulk up and get big, but like now I don't eat till like 12 because I like to wake up and be like uber focused, drink some water, hit some caffeine, and do like a big work block in the morning where I like knock out like loads of tasks. And I find that I'm really productive there and I'm really honed in and I'm really focused. And then throughout the day, I like to stick to like a high protein lunch with kind of minimal carbohydrates, hit the gym in the afternoon. That's usually when I like to train after I've had a bit of food and I've done a lot of work, and then have a bigger evening meal in the evening where it's kind of like, you know, a lot of meat, vegetables, some carbohydrates included within that. And my calorie intake is probably, I don't know, maybe 1,500 to 1,800 because I'm trying to cut down a little bit now as well because I've, had some enjoyment over the past month. But as my leanness comes back to where I want it to be, I'll then just bring those calories back up again to, 2,200, 2,400 and just maintain. So that's what it's currently looking like at the minute for my food.
Dude, we're like best body buddies. Like for me, it's exactly the same. It's like maintenance is around 2,200, 2,400. Bulk is around 2,400 above. Yeah, but I've never been on the bulk ever because what I do is the so-called accidental bulking.
That happens to me.
My system is like I stick to a diet, and then on Saturday I eat a loaf of banana bread. Like that's my the so-called accident. If I ever become a fitness influencer, my program is like the accidental bulking. Like that's what I mean. It's just like here's what you gotta do: you stick to your diet really perfectly, and then you just go nuts on food like a complete degenerate. I mean, I just like it's funny. The funniest thing is now when I go to a restaurant, I legit just order two starters, 2 mains, and 2 desserts. I'm like, these portions are so small. What is this? I need at least 2 desserts. Most of the time, we order all the desserts. Have you ever done that? That's the best thing.
I've never done that. Order all of them.
Yeah, bring me the dessert menu. And you know, most good restaurants, they have like 5 to 10 desserts. But they're all tiny. You know, you order a cheesecake, it's the size of the fucking AirPod Pros thing. You know, it's like a tiny. So I'm like, okay, we'll have all the desserts. And they're like, excuse me, what? All the desserts. Just line them up. And they're all tiny anyway. So
I love that. Yeah. My girlfriend's a foodie as well. She's actually coming over on Sunday for a couple of weeks. So yeah, we're going to probably do that. You know, we got a sweet tooth, so let's test it and see what happens. But women never get fat for some reason. My girlfriend never gets fat, but I always do.
Same for mine. So my girlfriend has like the shittiest diet. I'm so, cause she's just like pasta. But then at the same time, my girlfriend is like, we lie in bed at midnight about to go to sleep. She's like, I didn't eat today, I realized. Yeah. I just forgot it. And I'm like, of course, that would never happen to me. All I think about is food all the time. But, you know, I think that way she balances it. And then she cooks pasta and eats whatever and drinks Coca-Cola. And then, and then someday she just doesn't eat. She's like this complete free-flowing fairy that is just like, go through the world. And I love her to death. Because she's the complete opposite of mine. I'm just like, get shit done. Like that's my brain. Like when we're like walking through the city, I'm like, like I'm yanking people out of the way. I'm not really yanking them, but I'm like and she's just like, just go whatever. Just and I think if I had someone that is too similar to me, it would burn me out. And she's just this complete opposite. She's just like, go with the flow. Let's make lasagna. And the best thing is when I have a cheat day, like an actual cheat day where I diet super well for like a month. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, baby, like, end of the month, we're gonna have cheat day. You can cook anything you want. And I literally eat everything. I eat the entire lasagna. Then I'll let her cook pasta. And she's just like, I'm so happy when you're doing cheat day because you eat all my food.
That's the way though, man. I think, like my girlfriend's very feminine in that sense as well. So she'll be like, hey, let's just do this and like go out and have this amazing adventure of food and doing all this crazy stuff. And like for me, I'm kind of like, shit, I need to get stuff done. I'm like you, right? I need to fucking do this. I need to achieve this, like boom, 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 and need to train and do all that kind of stuff. But I think sometimes like getting pulled out of that and having like a girlfriend that's very feminine and says, hey, let's just do this and enjoy this. Like that is also a great part of life, is to enjoy those sides of things, because I think it's like probably the personality types that we are, and the way that we lead our lives is very much boom, 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 boom. So having someone there that pulls you out is like a breath of fresh air, I think.
It's necessary. I think we would otherwise die. Like guys like us, like, would just die if we didn't have that counterweight on the other side, just like telling us to slow the fuck down. Because I don't know, like many people tell me to slow the fuck down, but I just don't listen. The only people I listen to is my girlfriend. Like I know my family was always like, you work too much, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, shut up, guys. Like, why would I listen to you? You know, kind of like that in a loving way. But like my girlfriend is the only one that gets through to me. So I think that's very, very important. How long have you guys been together?
So we've been together nearly 2 years now. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, it's been good. Sorry, what was that?
How did you meet?
So we actually met when we were in Greece, which was crazy. So we met on a holiday in Greece. So I basically sent her a load of messages on Instagram to go out for dinner with me, and she responded. So that was good. And we went out for a few dates, and then she's not based here. She's actually from Russia, so she's in Moscow right now and is coming over for a couple of weeks. So we've actually been long distance for like nearly 2 years. And I was that kind of person that like I used to shit on everyone that had a long distance relationship. I thought, yeah, you're all fucking losers. Like, why are you having a long distance relationship? What are you doing? And then I became that guy, right? So it's come full circle. But I think that there are definitely trade-offs to as with life. There's trade-offs to anything, but having a long distance relationship for me has actually helped me have like my focus periods. And then like when my girlfriend comes, it's like really fun, and we go and do shit. We go on holiday, and like she gets this great experience. Like I get a break from like work, and I'm not as heavy on that. And then like when she leaves, I'm like, right, I'm back into like lock-in mode, which has been really good. But one of the reasons I was moving to Dubai is because she couldn't get a UK visa because of all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. So she's going to probably move to Dubai within the next year and come out here. So that was a big part of the move. But like I was speaking with this last night for dinner with some friends. Like I feel like the right woman or the right partner will like amplify you as a person. And, I've been single for a while, and I was around chasing girls and giving energy and doing all this stupid stuff. And I'd never felt that, I was number one fulfilled, but I was productive either, because, you're going out on dates in the middle of the week, you go on the weekend, you're drinking, you're spending all this money, and you're like, shit, like I still don't have like, a partner. But I think when you have like the right person, like they amplify you to want to achieve more, they support you, and it's like 1 + 1 = 3 in the right relationships. That's what I feel like. So I never thought that like that would happen, but it's just one of the realizations that I've come through recently.
I had that realization too, and I really feel like it took me even longer. It took me like until I'm like 32, 33-ish. I'm now 33. Yeah. And my girlfriend and I have been in a long distance relationship as well for 7 years. And now we just moved together now, and it's awesome. And I'm like, damn it, how have I pushed this away so long? Because it works really, really well. And it was actually her and my business partner, Robin Bauman, like just like talking into me at a dinner. It completely caught me off guard. We were like, it was like around New Year's earlier this year. And it was like, I don't know if they planned it or if they just like freestyled it, but it was like my girlfriend mentioning that we should move together, and then Robin is like, yeah, you should, Max, like you could make way more money. And I'm like just sitting there like trying to eat my third dessert, and it's like from one side is like Robin is like, why don't you move together, you could make videos. And then my girlfriend from the other side like, yeah, we could hang out and cook banana bread. And I'm like and I was just sitting there, and then I got fully convinced. I'm like, but damn it, you guys kind of have really good points. Like, yeah, let's go. And my girlfriend was like, really? Like, I tried to tell you for like 3 years. And now because Robin is there, so I'm like, no, but you guys together have really good points. So I gave my girlfriend, like, I'm like, look, super happy to move together. Here's my Amex card. Just go find an apartment. Just don't bother me with it because I want to work. And like 2 days later, she's like, the second apartment that she looked at, she was like, this is really perfect. And she video called me. I'm at the gym. And she's like, I'm at the place right now. Look at it. What do you think? And she walks through it, on the video. And I'm like, looks great. It got an office where I could work, so I'm happy. And I'm like, she's like, here you can work in this like tiny room, and I'm like, this is perfect. Can I have the tiny room so I can have my stupid laptop there and a treadmill desk? And she's like, yeah.
I love it.
So I'm like, all right, tell them we're taking it. And then she's like, yeah, but there's like 10 other couples that are looking at it right now. What do I do? And I'm like, okay, you're going to walk up to the owner, because it was not an agency, it was the owner directly, and you're going to tell him that we'll take it, we'll sign today, and we'll pay the first 6 months in cash right away if they want to. So she's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. Like, so she tells him, and the guy's like, what? You guys want to pay 6 months? I'm like, all right, you can have it. And we didn't even need to pay 6 months in advance, but having money pays off in this regard. We're like, yo, like, whatever, we want this, like, here's the money, go give us the thing. And now we moved together, and it's really awesome. And like I said, like just like you, it took me a while to really learn that lesson, because I was like the most hardcore ever of like, never get married, monogamy is a scam, like you're just a simp if you have a girlfriend, like, you know, like from the dating advice. I come from the dating advice thing, and for us, you would literally be a loser if you had a girlfriend. Like, oh, you found the love of your life, you fucking loser. Like, what the fuck? You know, it's just because you don't have game. Like, that's how I used to think. And now I'm like, I've been on so many dates. I've been with so many women and models and supermodels and all that. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this to put things into context. And especially towards the end of this, like, going crazy, going out, meeting a lot of people, I really just, like, I was just there thinking of, like, how much better my girlfriend is than all the other girls that I'm meeting. I'm just like, why am I hanging out with this person? This is like an international model and whatnot, but I don't care. This is someone that has like 900,000 followers, but I don't care. Like, I just think I just want to chill and hang out with my girlfriend and take her to like awesome trips to Italy. Like, I don't want another girl there. I just want my girlfriend there.
100%.
Yeah, just like you said, like, it can really, like, if you find the right person, 1 + 1 = 3. It really amplifies.
100%. And I like what you said there about, like, you know, it's like that bell-shaped curve, right? Where, like, you know, it's like at the start, you're like, oh, I just want a girlfriend. And then you go to the middle of the curve, it's like, fuck women. I want to be like a playboy. I want to be like Dan Bilzerian. I want to be like this. I don't need a girlfriend. And then you go back down, it's like, I just want a girlfriend, right? You just go full circle back to it. So, yeah.
I just want my pieces. Like, I'm such a harmony-seeking person. It's so funny. I have so many people that are like business partners of mine that just love getting into conflict. They love debating, and they're really good at it naturally. I'm just someone who's just like, I just want harmony, man. Like, when I come home with my girlfriend, I just want to chill. I just want to watch Disney movies and eat popcorn and have a good time with my girlfriend after crushing it all day. Don't get me wrong. And it's funny that you mentioned Dan Bilzerian. Didn't he just recently also say...
he's just come out and said that, like, he slept with, like, he was doing 3 girls a day at one point or something crazy, and he's like had thousands of girls, and he's like, all I want now is just one girl. So I mean, a guy with that extensive experience is saying that. I mean, you know, it must mean something.
Exactly. That's what, and that's a really important nuance here. Is like, when the random guy who got together with his high school sweetheart, I mean, if he's happy, he's happy. I tip my fedora. But it's mathematically speaking really unlikely that the high school sweetheart, the first woman you meet, is the woman of your life. When some random guy with zero game, zero charisma tells you, like, oh, you shouldn't go out and meet women all the time, I don't believe it. But when freaking Dan Bilzerian is like, yo, like, I kind of did the other thing, and just being in a loving relationship and having a cool girlfriend is kind of better, like, that weighs much heavier. That
100%.
And the thing is, too, is like all the rock stars, like all the Rolling Stones, like they're all married. Why would they get married if it sucked? You know, they got all the money, they got all the women. So even there, it's like, it's probably onto something, at least a little bit to that. So, you know, I think the nuance here is important. I would recommend most men to have a period of their life, at least 2 to 3 years, where they're actually meeting a lot of people out there. They don't need to go on crazy sexual rampage or anything like that. What I'm saying is, like, put yourself out there, go on a lot of dates, meet a lot of different women. Also, to really just freaking figure out what you like.
Yeah.
I always thought I like a girl that is crazy, super ambitious, that works just as hard as me, that is as driven as me. And I had women like that in my life, and it burnt me out. It was crazy because I couldn't relax. She couldn't relax. Together, we were just always like pushing each other, almost like we're competing with each other. And then I realized, oh, I thought I wanted that, but I actually don't. And then I met my girlfriend, whom I, on paper, has all the character traits that I thought I never liked. It's like very easygoing, very da-da-da. And I'm like, but why am I into this? Why does it feel so good when I'm with her?
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, I actually like this. And so it's the same for women too. I know we got a lot of female listeners. Shout out. The same with you as well. But I think with a lot of females, it's quote unquote easier to meet a lot of men. Like, like as a guy, unless you take action, you're never going to meet anyone.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but it's just as important for women as well. As like, don't just fall for the first guy that sends you flowers. Like, find out what you really want. Find out what you want out of life, out of a partner. And don't let everyone into your life that may or may not deserve it. Like, go test people,
100%. I was having a conversation last night about this exact debate about one of my friends. He's very young. He's uber successful. And he's like, I just want to focus on the mission right now. This is all I want. I just want to do work and business, and I don't want any girls, and I'll get around to it when I can. And I said, this is a good mindset. I like it. And it's good to not have distractions. But at some point, you're going to have to expose yourself to women, dates, heartbreak, failure, rejection, and this kind of stuff. And like you said, most importantly, learn what you like and the values that you see within the relationship. So then make an executive decision for the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life, right? Because you don't just want to be marrying and jumping into bed with the first person that you meet, because you've seen that so many times. It ends in car crashes for people, So, yeah.
I mean, especially with guys that are driven and that are financially very successful, because they don't possess the emotional acuity to distinguish between a girl that shows interest in them because they know that you're rich versus a girl that actually honestly shows interest in you.
Yeah.
So you have the guys, there's so many out there. That's why this whole monk mode thingy is just so dumb. Just work for 10 years until you're rich and famous. Yeah, and then the first girl comes along, she's like, this is the famous rich guy. I'm just going to seduce him. I'm just going to make him addicted to that body. And then I marry him, and then I fuck him over. Maybe, I'm not even saying that women come with an idea consciously up like that, but they're like, yeah, this guy's probably easy to seduce. Let's see what we can get. And then you as a guy with like zero experience, because you've been monk moding the whole freaking time, you're like, she really loves me, love at first sight, whoop-de-doo, we don't need a prenup, let's get married, or let me buy her the nice rollie or the car and whatnot. And then the girl just meets someone else that she's more attracted to, and now you're heartbroken, now you're frustrated as a guy, now you're bitter, you go freaking red pill, and you're like, women are evil, now you go even more monk mode, until you fall again for someone, and then there's just this like completely repeating pattern that just fucks you up over and over.
100%, man. And like you said, I think, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, monk mode is a complete scam, right? You get these people say, let me lock myself away from everything in the world and any vice and any distraction. And, once I do this, it will all be okay. I'm going to be very autistic and not social and do all this. And it's kind of like, well, that's not how life in the real world works, right? Do you think the big executive CEO that runs this big company is doing this kind of shit? No. Like, I work with these guys, and these guys, they wake up in the morning, they deal with, legal disputes. Their wife has a go at them, they then go to work. They have to deal with all that shit from work. Then they come back and they've got a client dinner in the evening. And then 12, 16 hours later, they're conked out. They wake up the next day and they do it again. And like, their life is on cycle. And what I've realized is actually exposing yourself to more of this stuff and still getting the job done is a good thing, because it's building up stress tolerance and, being able to deal and wear lots of different hats and lots of different problems that are going to come your way. I think locking yourself away and be like, I'm not going to deal with any of this stuff is just like putting, like a Band-Aid over something, right? It's not an actual solution to the problem.
You mentioned stress tolerance, which was really interesting. Have you ever overstretched the bow yourself? Have you ever gotten burnt out or anything like that?
That's a good question. So I think with stress tolerance, there's been times where I've like pushed it really, really hard, but I don't know. I think I'm somebody that I look after myself quite well. So like I'm able to manage lots of stress because I take care of myself. And I guess that's the benefit of being in a fitness background for a long period of time. It's kind of like, well, I've been, training well, looking after my diet and things like that. So this really does seem to stay consistent even throughout like the stressful times. And, when I do have stressful weeks, one of the first things I do is like, man, let's hit the gym. And like, that is like my peace and like the thing that I, can really deal with. But yeah, like there's been emotional stresses with family, with girlfriends, with, business, but I guess I haven't had it too bad compared to other people that I've heard of. So it's hard to speak on others, but I feel that I've dealt with it pretty well and I've got a good tolerance to it.
It's funny because when I'm too stressed, when I kind of feel burnt out, I don't necessarily even see the gym as, I think you call it like your peace or something like that.
Yeah.
Because for me, the gym is just another stress factor.
Okay, interesting.
how do you treat the gym? Do you turn your phone? Because what I did notice is when I turn my phone on flight mode, that's where gym actually becomes much nicer because I don't get distracted. I don't start scrolling in between sets, and I'm just there, just vibing with the music, kind of focusing on my breath.
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting closer to the gym being kind of like my off time mentally. How do you do it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I actually use that flight mode thing as well and just bang my headphones in because I feel like when I'm in a state of stress, I feel like it's because I don't know how to solve a problem. Something has pissed me off. I'm feeling some sort of pain or annoyance at something. So I want to let this rage out in like a conducive way. And I feel like, hitting some weights and stuff like that is good. Also hitting the bag is good and just shutting off from everything and like letting those endorphins hit me. And I feel like after I've done that, like I just feel 10 times better. I'm kind of like, hey, you know what? Like this isn't a big problem. And a big thing that I look at is kind of like within a problem, we're always so selfish and narrow-minded to our problem. We get very, selfish on it, right? But when you look out on the bigger picture and you open the scope of your life, that problem is nothing. If you think of some of the worst things that you've kind of dealt with, like now you're like, hey, I overcame that kind of stuff. But in the moment, you're kind of like there. So it's about being able to, for me, switch myself out of that mode and out of that perspective into a place where it's like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. It's not so bad. I'll overcome it. Boom. Let's carry on with life. And that's how I kind of deal with it, if that makes sense.
How long are your workout sessions on average?
About 45 minutes, max 45 to 1 hour maximum. So pretty short. Yeah.
How many do you do per week?
Probably about four per week. So 4 lifting sessions per week. I'll probably box once a week, either conditioning or like pad work with a coach. And I just like to go for walks as well. And I guess that's another big stress reliever is like going for a walk outside in nature or, in the sun and just letting your mind unpack and get some different stimuluses like that. That's really useful.
That one's huge. The walking thing. It's really funny because at home where I moved with my girlfriend, I have a walking treadmill disc. So I usually do my walking while I'm on calls or stuff like that. It's really cool. I have my cameras attached to the desk. So when I move it up to walk, I can still shoot video. It's really cool.
Love it.
Yeah. But here, right now I'm in Cyprus. Obviously, I didn't bring my treadmill disc. I'm just walking outside and I'm just walking and I just get idea after idea after idea. And just like you said, solution to problems. I'm just like, fuck. So just write all these things down just because my mental capacity in nature, out in the sun, I take my shirt off, sun hits me, I get vitamin D. And I'm just like, my all of a sudden my mental bandwidth opens up and I just get all these ideas. Super sick.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you also do 10K steps a day or 15K or what's your deal there?
Yeah, so yesterday I did like 16,000 because I had a lot to do, but usually it's around 10,000. So I think being in Dubai and not in the UK has helped that because there's actually sun here and not rain. So that's helped me a lot. So yeah, it's about 10,000 on average right now.
Yeah, nice. Do you track it with your phone or how does it work?
Yeah, I just use the health app on my phone, but I kind of like I'm in tune with it. So if I know that I go out maybe for 2 or 3 walks a day, I'm going to hit 10,000 roughly. If I just go about my day to day. So like when I go to get food or I go to get coffee, I make sure that I walk to a certain place so it helps me get steps in. Or I've just signed up to a new gym as well that's a little bit down the road. So I know that like with that, I'm just going to get like the steps in. I'm going to get the sunlight. So I don't have to think it. So I just factor it into my life. So it's like very organic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, every time I talk to a fitness expert like you, like they all say the same. It's like, I'm very in tune with my body. Like I don't have that, or maybe I don't want to have it. I'm very like, I want to hit the 10. Like even when it's like 10 p.m. and I have 9,000 steps, I'm like, I'm going to walk in circles around the freaking dinner table to get the 10K, just so I see that number pop up, Do you do the same with like macros and calories? Do you just average count them, or do you actually weigh the food and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I don't actually weigh the food. So I don't cook my food anymore. I just kind of go to a place like a deli and they actually weigh the food for me. So I just go into this supermarket. I'm like, hey, I'll have 4 eggs. I'll have X amount of chicken, X amount of grilled fish, X amount of potatoes and some salad. And like, it's all freshly cooked and they just put it into boxes. I walk back and then I can eat it throughout the day, which is really nice. So I kind of just stick to like a 3 meal a day or, roughly like 2 with a snack per day, like I mentioned. And yeah, I don't overly kind of stress the macros, because back in the day when I was, you know, very obsessed with bodybuilding and macro tracking, I was super neurotic about this stuff, man. I was like, you know, I can't go to bed unless I've hit my protein target. You know, I got to make sure my carbs hit my carb target. Oh, I'm 10 grams out. I'd lose my mind. Oh no, I ate too much. I'm going to go walk, you know, 800 calories now to burn it off. I was completely in the wrong mindset with it. Whereas now I feel like, you know, I just want it to be kind of very healthy, you know, very natural, but also like very fluid, right? You want to ensure that you're not using up too much mental bandwidth to, you know, obsess over stuff that doesn't really matter, because I'd rather my mental bandwidth go towards, you know, delivering on a podcast that I'm going on, or, you know, managing my team or business, you know, like that for me is much more important.
That's a good point, actually, that I never thought about it that way. Like when you obsess over smaller random details, you're taking away mental bandwidth from the bigger stuff.
Yeah.
Fuck. Hold on a second. That goes straight into my value nuggets thingy. Hold on a second. When you obsess over smaller things that don't matter as much, you're taking away mental bandwidth from this bigger stuff, from the stuff that actually matters. Yeah. Just to circle back to the stress thing again, how do you know that you're stressed? This is a super important thing for me, because I used to never know until I was so burnt out I could barely fucking talk.
Yep.
Now I'm more acute to that. I'm tuned in a little bit more. I feel the signs. I would love to hear what your signs are.
100%. When I know that I'm stressed is when I begin to make irrational decisions, right? So for me, it's kind of like, I'm going to go out on like a weekend bender and drink a lot. Or, you know, previously before, you know, I used to, you know, dabble in substances and do that kind of shit and go a bit crazy because I felt like I needed the release. So like, I'm very much in tune with that. Or, you know, sometimes it was money, right? I would go out and I'd blow a load of money because I was stressed. Like for me, it's like I dabble into vices to deal with the stress. And I feel like the best way to deal with stress is actually use stress, right? So if you're very stressed or dealing with a lot of stress, like put that stress into something else that's conducive. So it could be an ice bath, you know, it could be doing a martial art, or, you know, boxing, or, you know, doing a long or hard run, or whatever it is to actually help you manage that level of stress. Because I feel for me, I would dabble into bad vices and you then wake up and you're like even more stressed because you've done some stupid shit, right? Yeah. So yeah.
That's a really good one. When you're making irrational decisions, it's a sign that you're too stressed.
What about you? What's yours?
Good question. Eating. That was another thing that I want to ask you later. I stress eat, and it's funny, it really helps. Like when I want to really relax, I'm like, okay, it's been a tough week. You know what? I'm just gonna eat, you know, a jar of peanut butter. I'll order some Volt. Funny enough, the eating has become much less destructive for me. Like I used to really just eat the bad shit, like chocolate and chips. Now it's more like, let me order a smoothie bowl or something like that. So at least it will be above the macros. It will have more calories, but at least it's still clean, more or less, except for banana bread and stuff like that. But yeah, eating is a big one. And then the other one is, just like you said, actually, this making irrational decisions. I never was able to put it into words. But now that you iterated that, I'm like, that's exactly me. I'm like, I make decisions, like I snap at someone and it's totally not their fault, right? Like someone, like for example, like a team member of mine, they ask me about something and I'm just like harsher than I need to be when I answer them, which punishes them. Like in reality, they just want to do their job right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm punishing them, want to do their job right. Super irrational, actually. That and also sleep. Sleep is very acute for me. Like when I wake up in the morning after 8.5 hours of sleep and I'm still tired and drained and I just want to snooze, that's how I'm like, okay, now Max, is really time to take some time off today.
100%. Yeah, I feel that like the buildup of fatigue and having to want to sleep in is like a huge one for me when I know that I'm kind of at that level that I'm kind of burning out for sure.
Do you do stress eating at all?
So there was a period in which I did it. I've got a control over that now. I'm kind of the opposite. So like when I stress eat, I kind of go into like fight or flight mode. I kind of go into like this adrenaline state where like I lose my hunger and I'm like, how do I solve this problem, or how do I do this? And then I'll probably end up going and drinking or doing something stupid, right? Like that's where the irrational decision comes through. But I myself haven't dealt with stress eating, strangely, but like the amount of clients that I work with, like the biggest thing that we have to overcome is that stress eating, right? Like it's a big thing for any high performer that is, whether that's working and trading and losing a load of money or dealing with a 300-person company, whatever it is. Like there are horrible roller coasters and ups and downs, and people's first thing is to be like, fuck this, I'm going crazy on my diet and just going to completely blow it for like 3 days, right? I think that's the main thing that people do when it comes to stress eating.
Yeah, I would never do it for 3 days. Thank God. I always just had one cheat day. But those are massive for me. Like if you ever ask anyone that's been on cheat day with me, those are massive for me. But there's kind of two ways where I binge eat. One is to celebrate when it's been a great week or great month or whatever. Now let's get some real, or I stuck to diet for like a month and I'm really leaned out and now I'm just gonna have one cheat day. Or like you said, it's like I've overdone it. I've overstretched the bow. And now I just got to eat and chill. So yeah, it's very, very interesting that you said you actually have less of an appetite. I've never had that. I wish I did. There's people who are like, when I have a heartbreak, then I don't eat. Well, guess what? When I had a heartbreak, I ate more than before.
Really?
Say, when I'm sick, I couldn't eat. When I had COVID, best time ever. When I had COVID, I just ate like crazy. I just ate Glovo, like Volt, the food deliveries. There was this restaurant down right across the street from my place, and they had like ginger tea with cookies. Like it came with like these little cookies. So I literally just called him and I'm like, can you just give me like a 20 pack of these cookies? Just bring them up. I'll pay for them. So I would just binge eat all these cookies all the time. I would order all the great Chinese food and stuff like that. So there's never been an instance of mine where I would react by not having appetite.
Interesting. Yeah, that's like your go-to sort of like stress-induced kind of behavior, right? And mine's kind of the opposite. It's kind of like not food, fight or flight. Like let's go and like drink a ton of alcohol or like spend a load of money doing something stupid. So it's interesting.
Do you still do alcohol now, or do you just abstain from it totally, or do you say, hey, a glass of red wine now and then, or something like that?
Yeah, so I had a friend stay with me last week, so it's probably not a fair example. Like he wanted to go out and go a bit crazy, so we had a few drinks last week. But majority of the time, I'm quite low on alcohol. The reason being is it just impacts productivity so much, and the second and third order consequences are the main thing, right? So alcohol, the 4 hours or 5 hours you go out and drink are not the problem, right? The problem is the Sunday where you wake up and you're hungover and you don't do any work and you binge eat, right? Then it's the Monday where you clock in, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do half a day today. I can't be bothered. Like F this. And then on Tuesday, you're still tired and you're like not focused properly. You've lost 3 days of your week. I don't know what that is as a percentage, but sounds like a fairly decent portion of your week you've lost because of drinking. So, there'll be celebratory times, when a friend comes over or it's my girlfriend's birthday or I'm celebrating, I'll have the odd drink. But majority of the time now, especially as I get older, the hangovers are horrible. Like I really just reduce down, the amount that I drink because I don't want to lose time. I want to maximize my time and, make the most of it, right? And move fast on my goals. So I think alcohol can slow that down sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it goes full circle to what we talked about earlier. It's like, what have you optimized for? It's like you're optimizing for growth right now. At least that's what it sounds to me. And like you're optimizing for not losing your fucking time,
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you said, like, this is really what you're trying to optimize your life for?
I tried to definitely, optimize my life for like freedom and travel. So one of the best things that I really enjoy is travel. My girlfriend loves travel. So like when we get a break, like we're going to go around and like do lots of different stuff. And I think that's one of the benefits of having an online, remote business. And now I have a team that I've outsourced a lot of the work to. Like I can actually go out and live life and do the things that I really enjoy, which is seeing new places, posting photos on Instagram of the shit that I'm doing, having good memories with my girlfriend and things like that. Like for me, like this shit's really important. As well as like freedom for like my family. So like one of the best things that I've done is, take my mum on holiday to Egypt for her birthday and like paid for the whole thing. And I know that it's not a Lambo, right? But to me, like you could give me 20 Lambos and it wouldn't give me as much fulfillment as it is to take my mum on a holiday and for her to be so happy to go and visit the pyramids and go down to Luxor and see the temples and do all that shit. Like to me, that's what I make money for. It's like the freedom and to do the shit that I like. And I think I've always been caught sometimes in that superficial thing of buying this stuff, doing this and to look good. And I think we've all been through that phase, but the older that I get, the more that I realize is, what, that stuff is fun, but the freedom and like being able to help the people around you is like the most important and fulfilling thing in the world, at least for me anyway.
Hell yeah. Amen to that, man. Amen. Now, what I'd be super curious is because I have now so many people, so many friends, colleagues that live in Dubai.
Yep.
I can't see myself ever moving there. It's too hot for me. I need my winters. I need seasons for that matter.
Yeah.
What is life looking like generally for a guy like you with a business such as yours? What's your day-to-day life look like in Dubai?
Day-to-day life. So if we could do a day in the life, so I actually wake up early and I've got a client I actually train in person. So I've got one client in person that I like to train because it actually gets me up early and I get on with him really well, but also it just helps me hone my craft. So I wake up, I PT him really early at like maybe 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. I then get back and then I basically have a work block from 9 until like 12. I'll then have my first meal where I've done, and eaten that. I'll then go hit the gym and have like a couple of hours in the afternoon where I'm not really, doing any work. I'm not maybe training. I go down by the pool and get a tan, whatever it is, in my apartment. Then after that is basically from 4 p.m. until like 9 p.m. It's calls, it's dealing with my team, it's closing new clients, it's maybe posting content, whatever it is that I need to do. I then do that for the rest of the day. So that's like what a normal work day would look like. And I try and give myself at least one day on the weekend where I'm actually off and I'm, not on business or I'm not doing anything. I go to a beach club, I go out and go for some dinner with friends, whatever it is, and just have a reset, because I think that's really important. A lot of the problems that I've solved with myself have come when I'm relaxed and I'm in the state of, hey, I'm not actually working behind my laptop, because, you need that new stimulus. And that's why the walks are so good and time off is so good, because you get a different perspective on things. And, even a conversation with someone at dinner that you can have can solve a problem like that you've been running through in your mind. So I think being able to lean on other people as well is a big thing that I try and do to help me. And, that can be mentors, that can be, coaching programs that you're on, but also friends too. So, yeah.
So the people that you hang out with here, are these all friends that you knew from before that also moved, or is it just came from networking here in Dubai?
Oh, yeah, but interesting. So some of them are actually from people that I've known before. So they're actually just people that have moved out to Dubai. I've got some friends that are big in crypto here and stuff. So I kind of just hang out with them. And then there's some that I've just met through like Twitter, man. It's crazy. So like Twitter, like the personal brand has like helped me meet so many people. Like every week someone's like, hey man, I'm in Dubai. Do you fancy coming for coffee and stuff? So, I get to meet some of these people and become friends with them too. So yeah, like a mix, I'd say.
That's always the craziest thing, that I've had this period of my life where I was super just by myself and I was shutting myself off from every time someone invited me. It's kind of similar here in Cyprus. Every time I'm here, I always get a bunch of DMs. Hey, you want to grab coffee? Hey, yada, yada. And I was like, nah, I'm just working. Leave me alone. And then last August, I started being like, I should just fucking network. I just talk to people. And that's also how I revamped the podcast, because this podcast used to be just a solo podcast, just me rambling. And now since last August, I try to have a guest on every week. And I'm like, this is so cool, because you meet so many people. And now everywhere you go, you're like, yo, dude, I'm here too. Let's hang out. And it's so funny, because I think you feel probably similarly. Whenever someone invites you for coffee or something like that, at first you say it's probably just a waste of time. Like I should stay in and just sit in front of my laptop. But then you talk to them, and like you said, you get so many ideas or other opportunities or greater connections, or at the very least, you just have a good conversation. It always fucking pays off.
Yeah, 100%.
That's kind of the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm at a place now where I want to get to my business to a point where, I can be literally the CEO and get someone to operate it. And I don't have to, be there day to day, because I want to go out and do these things and meet people and network and grow my business. And I was with a friend the other day and he was like, I only work from my phone. And he said something really profound. He's like, why would you need a laptop? He goes, if you're a good CEO, you can run your business from your phone. And he's got a very good fucking point, right? Like if you're a CEO, like what do you need to do that doesn't require your phone? Well, you shouldn't be writing proposals. You shouldn't be taking sales calls. You shouldn't be taking payments. You shouldn't be doing admin. You shouldn't be doing graphic design. Like if you're a good CEO, literally your job is to just manage the team and make sure that it goes well and be on your emails, right? So it's kind of a goal for me now, is like, can I just be on my phone and run my business? That would be a great, achievement for me.
Yeah, just like try to cut down the laptop stuff as much as possible, and then just we do almost everything over WhatsApp. So for me, it's all just like it's the bottom right button on the phone, which is the WhatsApp voice message thing. It's just like blah, 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 like like every time I find myself typing on the phone, I'm like, I'm the fucking CEO. I'm not gonna type anything. I'm just gonna voice message it all. And we're implementing this rule right now where it's like, unless you're senior staff, you're not allowed to send voice messages, because we kind of want to, say, I don't want to listen to crazy long voice messages. I want people, if they need something from me, to like write it as swiftly and in as many bullet points as possible, so I can look at it. I'm like, got it. Here's what to do. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very good point. It's like try to get like leverage the smartphone as much as possible. And I also know, I mean, now from talking to you now, like your strength clearly is content creation, talking to the camera, and all that jazz.
Yep.
So you better freaking leverage that, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're right. Like when I look at my skills, and I'm definitely not somebody that can be analytical and read crypto charts, and I'm definitely not on that like high IQ point that I know a lot of friends that I have and clients are there. But I'm much better with people and talking and communicating, articulating and presenting ideas and sharing experiences. So I just want to lean into that, and I think that will help me with doubling down on what I'm really good at and my strengths to then grow to the next level.
Is that also something, so you're clearly really good at that. Is it also something that you really like doing, where you like the thing that you're best at is actually also the thing that gives you the most pleasure?
Yeah. So like one of the things that I don't want to outsource in my business is sales, because I love sales so much, right? Because I love the sales call where I'm speaking to somebody, I'm getting them on side, I'm selling them my solution, talking and handling with the objections, and then getting them over the line to then sign. So like, I should outsource it very quickly. I am doing it, but it's like one of those things you don't want to let go of because you enjoy it and you're kind of like control freak, but I know that it's the right thing to do, so I will. So yeah, for me, I think like I'm just trying to lean into the strengths of talking to people and articulating, whether that's through content, podcast, myself, doing videos. Like I feel that that's where my strengths are. So yeah.
I have exactly the same. I always say like everybody has a primary, secondary, and tertiary skill. And like the art of an entrepreneur is to understand which is your primary and secondary skill, and how can you get yourself in a position where you can leverage those two as fast and as good as possible. And like I said, I've had a period in my life the last 2 years where I was not leveraging my primary and secondary skills. My primary skills is content creation, like you said, talking to people. I'm pretty good on camera. And then the secondary skill is just kind of managing people, inspiring them, and making sure they're being positioned in a way that can do the best possible output and input for the company. But then there was a period of my life where I had to like do like procedures and structures and numbers and understanding all the icky wiki acidic over above the shoulder kind of stuff, And I'm like, and I didn't even notice how miserable it made me, because it just makes you miserable. Like every day, every week makes you a tiny little bit more miserable. It's just so slow enough that you don't notice. And then I'm like, what am I doing? When I relaunched this podcast, I'm like, these 2 hours that I talked to this person were like the best 2 hours I've had all fucking week. Why am I not doing this the whole time? And then we started revamping YouTube, revamping Instagram. We grew my other Instagram channel to 180,000 or something like that now followers, and that's what I helped on Twitter. And I'm like, I love this. I want to do nothing else all day. Just put me on Twitter. Just give me coffee. Give me a cigar or a shisha. That combination of nicotine and caffeine, man, and just give me a laptop to just post content, put a camera on my face. I'm just rambling to the freaking camera. I love that. It's the best thing ever. 100%.
Just let me cook, right? Let me cook on content videos. Let's do it.
Let the cook, man. Like that is the thing, So that's why it surprised me that you still love doing sales calls, but I also get it, because sales is really freaking awesome. Yeah. Because it's almost the same as a podcast. It's very much a one-on-one thing.
Yep.
But then at the same time, for me, I'm like, I can't record it. Right, I can't put it out there and then just share the video with someone. I have done a lot of sales content lately where I kind of teach sales. I did a solo podcast episode. That was a funny story. So I had Luke Crow on last week, and the first time we were supposed to have the podcast, he had to cancel last minute because he had an issue with his coaching, and we had everything set up. So I'm like, well, fuck, we already set it up. Fuck it, let me do a solo podcast episode. Just press record, and my guy was like, what are you going to talk about? And I'm like, sales. And I just did a 90-minute monologue on sales. It's an episode on this podcast, and that's what I love. Like, I can just riff off stuff. So yeah, man, that's really fucking cool. So how many sales calls do you usually do on average per week, per month?
So it depends. Like on a good week, we're probably doing like 10 per week at least. So 10 to sometimes 15 per week, which is pretty decent. So I find that like 3 a day is fine. Like Monday to Friday, you got like 15. That's okay. Or like 2 a day is okay. But yeah, we're getting to the stage now where I think, especially as we start to introduce Instagram, that's going to go up to maybe 4 or 5 a day. And at that point, my love for sales is going to drop significantly. I feel because you're just going to be doing this all day. So we're currently training training a guy right now within my sales team to become a closer and stuff. We've recorded all the calls, like showing him how to do that. And yeah, we've kind of got a process of how we're going to do that. So yeah, and I've been like doing these sales calls for like 3, 4, 5 years now, and I think it's the same with anything. Is people say, "Oh, I can't learn sales. I'm nervous. Like I can never close. I can't deal with objections." Like you just need to do more fucking reps, man. Like you need to just stop being a pussy and do more reps. Because I found that it's the same with the gym. It's the same with going to talk to girls. The more reps you do, the more that you iterate, the more you take feedback and coaching and ask the right questions, like the better that you get. So I truly believe that anyone can get better at sales. It is just a case of like reps and iterating.
As anything, do you disqualify people in front? So you said you have a setter that disqualifies them, or how exactly?
Yeah, that's right. So we have a setter that kind of goes through a conversation flow with them. We kind of ask them a little bit around, their pain points, their occupation, where they're from, and from that we can gauge roughly if they were, would fit in and be able to afford our service, which is more premium and higher end. We then book them into a Calendly call. We then have like a few questions within that Calendly flow that again help requalify them as well. If my setter is unsure of them, or maybe location or whatever it is, he'll then have a bit more of a direct conversation with them, like, hey, look, you're jumping on the call, like these are roughly what our packages are going to look like, to give them a rough ballpark. But most of the time that doesn't need to be done, because like we can gauge whether someone's going to be qualified through their age, through their occupation, through which country they're going to live in, and things like that. So yeah.
Dope. And most people that you work with are entrepreneurs. What's the ratio there?
Yeah, so I'd say probably 50% are entrepreneurs, and then the other 50% are going to be executives or within high performing roles. So they could be doctor, lawyer, banker, investor. Yeah.
Is that because you just disqualify people that are not in that audience, or is it because your brand basically only attracts these kind of people?
Yeah, so it's a good question. With a lot of the transformations that we share, and if you go onto my website and landing page, like everyone we share is an entrepreneur or executive or a high performer. So people kind of get that idea. But like we do get people that come through. Like we've got a client at the minute, he's a gardener, but he wants to like pay full whack, and he's like, fucking, I love the brand. I love I need this coaching. And he's like, I want to do it. And it's like, well, great. Like we're not going to say no to helping him, because at the end of the day, we can still help him. He's still a busy guy. He's still, performing well in what he does. So yeah, that can definitely still be the case, but mainly we try and attract our niche, because as with online marketing, like the more specific you can be, like the better your sales process and marketing and everything's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, also out of my experience, people that are entrepreneurs or in high performing jobs, they're just much easier to work with, because they know it's going to require work. They have the self-discipline. They just need the structure. They need the know-how. They need the feedback. But you don't have to like pitch these people on an idea to execute the damn program,
Yeah, absolutely. Our best client results are guys that are like 50 plus, like our best transformations.
No way.
And like, I think the reason for that is these guys are obviously a bit more old school. They've grown up in a way where like, they've had to work hard to get to where they want to be. Also, it's kind of like they've got a lot of responsibility in work, but also with family and kids. And I think when people have that level of responsibility, they understand what it takes to achieve results and to do what it takes. So yeah, we find like guys over 50, like again, are really successful. There's also the side of things that, as you're getting into 50, like, how long have you got left? A lot of these guys say they're kind of like, well, damn. I actually need to take this shit seriously. Otherwise, I might not be around in 10 years, So there's a lot of motivators there for them to be successful.
Damn, that hit deep, man.
Yeah.
Do these guys in their 50s like have problems with testosterone or something like that? Like, do you have to give them extra help on that?
Yeah, so with that, we tend to, the way we advise doing it is like, we want to hit things naturally first. So we want to fix the foundation. So, if someone's like, 40 pounds overweight and sleeps terrible and they eat shit, it's kind of like, well, giving him TRT is not a good solution, right? Like you need to fix these foundations. So we try and get them to the point where the body composition is good, their habits are good. If they were in a natural state of boosting testosterone, they could. But some of them are like, hey man, like I want to take this. And, we're not a doctor, so we can't really say, hey, like you need to do this, but we can say, hey, like this is advice from guys that we've, given, that have wanted to take it. This is usually what the low dose is. This is usually what to do. Consult your doctor and make sure. And these guys already are within the circles where they're getting tested. They're already going to doctors. They're already getting regular health checkups. They can afford to do this stuff. So yeah, if they want to jump on, they can. But again, like it's not a thing that we recommend straight off the bat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of what we talked about before. Is like with the supplements, is like it's not going to do much if you don't have the basics right, man.
Yeah, that's it.
So we've talked a lot about what you optimized for. We've talked a lot about what your day looks like and so on and so forth. What is your next goals, whatever, for the next 12 months with your business? And then what is the next goal in like 5 years from now?
Yeah, for sure. So for the next 12 months, we want to get this sort of point where we're a 7-figure business. So we're nearly there. We hope so. So we want to push that and scale that to like 7 figures this year, which I think we can definitely achieve with the new channel. And then from that, I'd like to, like I said before, try and get someone in to sort of run this thing a lot more, to take away a lot of my time. So, I've realized time is the most important thing. And to answer your next question, in the next 5 years, I want to run in-person retreats and go like fly around the world and meet clients in person, host masterminds, and do like a lot more in-person stuff, because we've already had a lot of demand from our clients to do this. And I think with the caliber of clients that we work with, these guys would see a synergy of kind of meeting each other and having an experience where they were 3 days together, because, business could happen, the fertilizing of ideas and things like that could happen. And it'd be just a great experience for them, where they could come off the back of it and be like, fucking hell, this was awesome. Like, I got fit, but I also got to meet and talk with people I like. And at the end of the day, that's all we want to do, right? Is talk with the people that we want to talk with and enjoy the things that we enjoy. So if we can create that sort of experience, that's definitely something that I would like to do within the next few years as well.
Damn, yeah, those retreats are awesome. Like, I just started going to like networking retreats and stuff like that also last year. Nice. Specifically, I was at a really, really crazy retreat for an ayahuasca ceremony, a 1-week retreat in Ibiza with my good friend Misha Yanets and people like that. Also, he's a huge fitness influencer. And it's just so valuable hanging out with other dudes. It's as weird as it sounds, as weird as I just made that sound. This whole because I remember you were all eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner together at this huge table. We're all just talking, and like the first evening, I sat next to this guy, and he had a Submariner, like the same one that I have, but in blue. And I'm like, hey, I have the same. And he's like, cool. And I'm like, how old are you? He's like, oh, I'm 50 something. So it was Slatko Sterzenbach, who I've had on the podcast as well. Later on, and he's just like this 50-something-year-old dude, and he's like, and in my head, I'm like, when you're 50, your life is over, like you're old. And here he was like, yeah, last year I did all the things on my bucket list. I swam with dolphins, I shot AK-47s, and now I'm participating in this ayahuasca ceremony. And this guy's like a 16 times Ironman participant, 16 times. Beast. Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you just changed my point about old people. Like, I thought 50 is old, and he's like, and he got a beautiful wife and everything. I'm like, okay, that gives me a little bit of hope as well. Just because I'm already quote unquote 33, I still got a lot of time,
Yeah, that's dope, man. I love that.
Yeah, dude. So I'm really excited for you to do these retreats, because they're going to be epic. Not only for the people that pay you for that, but literally for you as well. Like, these are so freaking awesome, my man. So, yeah, dude. How can people find you? How can people reach out to you? What's the go-to media content?
Absolutely, man. So you can find me mainly on Twitter, Oliver Anwar, or my tag is the Oliver Anwar. Same on Instagram, it's the Oliver Anwar. I also post on LinkedIn. You find me on YouTube as well. You just search my name, Oliver Anwar. And my website is fitnessforentrepreneurs.com. So nice, easy one. So if you go on there, you can kind of see my program and see the clients we work with and what we do and what we offer. That's
a baller domain, man. Was it expensive?
No, so back in the day, I got it cheap. I think I was actually out with a friend once, and we were drunk, and he was like, hey, bro, I got this great idea, right? I was like, what's the idea, bro? He goes, you should buy Fitness for CEOs and Fitness for Entrepreneurs as domains. So we were drunk, we were sat at a bar in Spain. So I got my phone up, went on GoDaddy, and we just bought these 2 domains when we were drunk, right? And then now it's come full circle. I'm like, shit, I've got 2 really good domains with the niche I want to work with. So.
That's so genius. That's really genius. I think I did the same with 7figurebusiness.com or something like that. Or it was for a sale, a couple $100. I'm like, I'm sure someone's gonna need that somewhere. But yeah, dude, sheesh. It's a real absolute pleasure having you on the show. It's really, really awesome. I think people got so much fucking value. So for the listeners, please reach out to Oliver Anwar if you need help. He's a great guy, obviously. Next time in person, 100%.
For sure.
Let's grab some steak, some chicken, and have a good time and all that jazz.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on as well, man. And, I followed your stuff for a long time. And, there's a lot of gurus out there, right, that have, come up in the past few years. But you've been posting on the internet for 10 years, bro, years and years. So, I think that it explains everything, right? You've stood the test of time, which is a testament to you. So thank you for the work, and thanks for having me on.
Dude, same spiel, man. Same to you. And it's funny, the last thing that I want to say is it's not about who gets to make the most money the quickest. It's who gets to stay at the top the longest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, you know, talking to you, like, I know you're going to be one of those guys that's just going to stay up there for the longest because you've been through some shit. You've been through some highs. You've been through some lows. And you got the right mindset. You got the right optimization. You're an incredibly smart dude, which is rare. You know, you never know. Because especially with the fitness dudes that look good and they look straight, like, oh, maybe they're not the smartest. But you got the mindset there as well. And that's really, really fucking awesome, my man.
Cool, man. Appreciate it, bro.
And if you get inspired by this conversation, say, hey, this digital consulting, online coaching stuff, it sounds so cool, Max. You always have all these awesome people on there that are doing this online. How can I do this? How can I become a thought leader? How can I monetize a hobby of mine or a skill or a passion or an expertise? Well, the answer is very simple. Book a call with us. Get consulted by us entirely for free over at maxtornow.com/call. This is the call that you can book if you want to have advice on what niche that you can get into. This is the call you can book if you want to have advice on how you can get your first clients, how you can create a program that really sells well, and anything else. If you're already making money and you say, hey, Max, can you scale me? Yes, we can. We've helped clients to up to 500,000 euros a month. So if you're anywhere below this, we can probably help you and build a really awesome system there as well. So maxtornow.com/call. Thank you so much for listening/watching, and talk to you soon.